Welcome everybody to VIS here for VIS64. This is split number 2, and we're getting underway with Group B here in the Challenger Series. I'm joined by Tasty Bacon and Excoundrel, who is coming to VIS for I think the first time this year to help co-host and cast these games. We've got a lot of exciting games, but first, gentlemen, thanks for joining me tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Obviously, first time for me over on VIS64. I did do it once last year, I believe, like you said. So the first time this year for sure. It's a pleasure to be here, Dragon. I'm always looking forward to doing Challenger stuff, and I'm actually honoured to be able to do some American Challenger stuff as well, because, you know, I've been doing most of the Europeans, so a little bit of a change of scene for me is always good fun.
Absolutely. It's nice to see kind of the other side of the pond, what they're doing. Could definitely, I have actually seen that it does influence EU a lot, and vice versa, as we take a look at builds and comps. But Tasty Bacon, of course, you're joining us tonight too. Thanks for getting on.
Yeah, absolutely excited to be here. My first time on VIS for this split. And
is it really your first time?
Or this is trolling. It's this split. Like, we just started this split. I mean, it's.
I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure Tasty's done loads of VIS.
It's the first week of the split, so it's my first time this split. But
I got
definitely excited to see what this split's gonna hold. You know, a couple of extremely familiar faces coming down from Vainglory 8, getting knocked out during those challenge battles just last weekend. And now going to be trying to earn their way back into those challenge battles for a spot back in the Vainglory 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, yesterday was intense, and we're expecting intense matches today with this exact same, aggressive 64 team grueling style double elimination. And of course, it's best of 3, so, teams go at it for quite some time. There'll be a lot of matches tonight. There'll be, hopefully, some exciting upsets as we try to get into as many streams as possible today to bring you guys all the action from the fold. And of course, yesterday was absolutely jam-packed. I don't know if Tasty and Excoundrel, you guys were able to take a look at what happened, but I mean, man, we had some huge upsets. We had some surprising teams pulling off victories over. We had a number 4 seed team get knocked down. We had a number 12 seed team get knocked down to the loser bracket from a 21 seed team. We had just left and right teams that we, really actually made it pretty far. Now, of course, one of the things about this is double elimination. What that means is, the first day is really not a good indication of how the teams overall will perform. It's all about getting to the playoffs. The top 4 teams from the winners and the losers will make it there for the top 8 teams, and that is going to be this week in week 3. So you guys are definitely going to want to focus on that, and remember that a lot of these upsets, although surprising and exciting, that it's really important how these teams perform after a loss, and we're going to be probably seeing a lot of that here tonight. So definitely really, really excited. We're going to take a quick look. Of course, the prize pools for the split. Now, there's 8 teams going to make playoffs, but only 4 of them can get the so-desired cash payouts. And of those 4, 3 of them are going to get qualified for the challenge battles. And the reality is, guys, is the money is nice, but these teams are really vying for this shot at the Vainglory 8.
It's the Premier League. It is the place that every professional team wants to be. And obviously we saw a couple of switch rounds. In Europe, we saw one team get through. Fluffy Chickens made their way into the Vainglory 8. Lemon and Lime, who probably were one of the favourites with Mr. K-Cool, as a lot of you, if you follow any European stuff, will know that he's a very high-level player, has been to live championships. They went for the big point prize, hoping to get their shot at the live championships and didn't make it. The only team that we had move through was Fluffy Chickens, but there have been some switch-arounds, there have been teams making it into Vainglory 8, which is different, Dragonborn. As you remember from last seasons, not many Challenger teams actually made it, but we've actually seen a really high level of skill in both regions actually start really pressuring the bottom-tier Vainglory 8 teams for their spots.
Absolutely. We in North America, for the first time ever, we had 2 teams from Challengers really impress everybody and surpass those Vainglory 8 teams. And the 3rd team that didn't make it almost made it. Best of 5 all the way to game number 5. Probably almost had that in the bag, just barely getting getting outmatched in the first couple early games, and then of course Rogue able to finally close that one out with a nice decisive game number 5. But so all of the challenger teams in North America actually won more games than the Vainglory 8 teams, and that's the first time that has ever happened here in North America. So definitely exciting. The schedule, of course, for today is we are doing group number B, and these are all the teams that are getting ready right now and playing. We are launching all of them off into the fold to start their matches. We have a few of them handpicked, though, that we will be streaming here tonight. But some really exciting teams. Some of the teams that got knocked down into this Challenger Series from those battles are here tonight. Misfits, the number 2 seed, unfortunately getting knocked out and now forced to play through this grueling tournament to make it all the way back up for their shot to reclaim their Vainglory 8 spot. But there's a lot of other big notable names down here. Necrolite almost beating Rogue in their challenge battles is a number 3 seed here tonight. We've got some other names that have been in the Vainglory Challenger Series and really been proved quite consistently. Noble Pro and Team Synergy. These are teams that have seemed to come out here consistently night after night for a shot at that ultimate trophy. So, gentlemen, definitely a lot going on, but I think what everyone wants to know is what games are we going to be getting into first?
Well, we are looking at the, I believe it's the Necrolite game. Are we jumping into that one first, Dragonborn?
Yeah, we absolutely are. So, let me get that updated. But yeah, Necrolite versus Fate. It's a quick change of schedule from where we were hoping to go. Teams, trying to get ready in time, and we were able to switch over to the Necrolite game right off the bat. So, you guys are going to be able to see it. Necrolite, a number 3 seed versus a 62 seed. Now, the only thing I'll caveat here is, the first round of play can be one of those rounds where it's pretty certain how the top 10 teams are going to do. And of course, we are in the top 10 here with Necrolite.
Usually.
Yeah, usually. So, an upset could happen though, Tasty, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, John, where we saw these upsets happen just yesterday over on the bracket A. And so it's definitely possible. It is more than possible. If you just don't show up, you don't have your A game with you, when you start playing, you could find yourself in that loser's bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's something that could happen. Now, we're going to find out how this first game is going to go. We're going to get right into it, guys. Not going to wait too long as game number 1 is taking place. So, Tasty Bacon, let's get in and see what we have for the draft so far.
All right. Well, right off the bat, I see it is going to be a Fortress ban for Necrolite. Not too surprising. One of the highest win rates across all of Vainglory right now, at least in North America.
Yeah, no, we saw a lot of that in the VGL today. Just a bit previously, if Fortress was not banned, he was pretty much 100% picked. But there's a familiar face, Adagio coming through as a first pick for Necrolite, and I think that's generally now shuffled into the captain role, given the changes to the CP Adagio power because of that range nerf in the last update.
Yeah, usually ends up being the case, but Vox Lyra going to be the next 2 pickups. So despite both of these healers receiving some nerfs in the current patch, they are still the only 2 heroes that have on-demand healing prior to level 6. So they are still heavily prioritized, but Adagio, Flicker, Kroll. Ooh, this is a strong lineup from Necrolite.
That's really interesting, the Flicker coming out. It's something that North America generally tends to prioritize more so than Europe. It's definitely a trend that I believe, Tasty, we still have yet to see a professional Flicker game, maybe, and maybe might have seen 1 or 2, but to my memory, it's not something that we often see over on the other side of the pond. And this is super aggressive as well. You have to make a lot of stuff happen early on here with Flicker, but with the Cruel, it can be devastating.
Yeah. So with the Adagio and Flicker, very likely means we'll be Adagio up in that carry position. And Adagio Flicker is just a very, very powerful combo. You mentioned Flicker not really being popular in Europe. It has not been played at all in the European Vainglory 8.
I didn't want to commit to the statement, but I was pretty certain. On the other side, though, we've got the Samuel, the Vox, and the Lyra here. So plenty of range, plenty of kite potential. If you need anything, you need that versus the Cruel. But Flicker can really put a dampener on your day, Tasty. It can really be an issue. And I believe we are now heading into the game. Do you want to say bye, Dragonborn? Do you want to say bye to the wonderful viewers?
The battle for the Halcyon
No, he doesn't. Dragonborn's gone. Peaced out. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first game of the day. Necrolite going up against opposition here, and obviously they are the favourites in this matchup, Tasty. Necrolite, an incredibly strong team. You know, they're probably hoping to make it to the end stages of this tournament and claim that challenge battle position. But again, the aggression coming out early here onto B-Will. Already the slows coming down, Cruel building up those stacks, but she will get away with that sigil. Unfortunately, Vox kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he should go down for first blood. Now Gibson, over aggressive as well. They're just allowing these stacks to build up. Blair Kid and Cruel still going in, but the sigil will speed him up and out the way, but this will allow him to get the backs, Tasty.
And after using the Spectral Smite on that first blood, not having it available for a second kill attempt. However, like you said, Vox just caught in a rough situation there, trying to rotate down to help out with that 2v3 situation, ends up going down himself. And well, first blood over to Necrolite. They're going to be happy with that, stealing away these backs and losing essentially nothing for their troubles either. This is a really good start for them. It's going to get them a pretty solid gold lead for being so early in the game.
How bad is this for Samuel? Like, if Samuel losing a lot of power in the early game, you know, he's really strong at level 2. He's kind of used in that respect. How bad is this now going to be for him as well? Actually, Lyra, again, taking a lot of damage. Blair Kid there with the stealth. This is how annoying Flicker can be, Tasty. But go back to the previous question. How bad is this for Samuel? Do you think he can recover from this?
It's going to be really, really difficult. Samuel's going to be trying to, again, very passive play, but up in the lane, we're not even going to have much time to talk about that because there's going to be so much aggression.
I feel like we sacrificed the Samuel point now. Goodbye, Samuel point. There's just too much going on at this point in time. Again, we expect this with the Flicker composition, right? You know, Flicker designed to be super aggressive, designed to put pressure on the laner. And he's going to be there. No actually way of revealing the stealth at this point in time. So obviously, Necrolite will have full awareness that Samuel is thereabouts in the lane. He's expecting a Flicker gank, but Flicker fully aware, probably not going to commit heavily. Will come out slow coming through, but again, not committing here, Tasty. I think he knows what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still aware that Gibson is hanging out here. Gibson, although hasn't moved, so maybe an unfortunate situation for him there, but I mean, the early aggression, it's so difficult to deal with when you're someone like a Lyra. You can throw down those sigils every so often, but at the same time, you want to save them to be healing up your laner or yourself if the situation calls for it, and not necessarily throwing it down aggressively. Gibson is back, is moving, so that's remedied, but you know, having to invest so heavily into vision is gonna definitely set B-Will back a little bit, you gotta figure. So I like the fact that B-Will's moving down and rotating with Gibson through the jungle just to get a little bit of extra money, but kind of curious that they're gonna actually, this could be trouble.
Well, actually, Blair Kid does pop out, but no one able to commit onto him at this point in time. Adagio in lane at this point. In comes the Drifting Dark. Malice and Verdict stuck to land, but Gibson isn't going to commit to this. Didn't really have the energy to do so. And Adagio will continue to farm up in lane. He's got a 10 creep score advantage at this point in time as well. B-Will being forced out yet again by this Flicker. The aggression coming through, and it's bought them a small lead at this point in time. Kind of all through the CS. We haven't really seen much of Cruel yet, but he is starting to make his way into the enemy jungle now, Tasty, and he's going to catch out Gibson here. Actually, the stacks will start to build. Not much energy. Corrupted Genius does do some work. He's actually tanking turret a lot. That is a lot of work being done by the turret. And jungle is intensified, but I'm kind of scared for his stand-in solo here. He's just going to walk away with that healing camp, jump away as well on that surfboard. Going to try and take away 2. Really cheeky play here. He won't get it, and now he could be in a bad situation. A lot of damage going down onto him. He's actually going to try and heal up here. Will actually get the kill onto Samuel. Somehow turns it around with that healing. And now Blair Kid is going to focus down with Decima onto B-Will, but that should be a disengaged Tasty. Really pushing the boundaries standing solo.
Yeah, and knowing that he was going to be okay, having the heal from Adagio come down, having the Spectral Smite still available, and of course just the lifesteal from those weakness stacks, it's very smart from standing solo to hang in there. Not a lot of people would have, you know, as soon as you get to a certain amount of health, most players will just try and run. But oh my goodness, look at the damage coming out of Takuma already. Doesn't even have that first tier 3.
Oh, and actually, Adagio and Blair Kid yet pick up another kill. This is how oppressive this lane can be. Adagio has always been known as a fairly oppressive laner because of how powerful the Gift of Fire and basic attacks can be, especially when you Gift of Fire a minion to apply that debuff and then start basic attacking your target. It can be very difficult to deal with. Combine that with the Flicker, who slows them down and roots them, and suddenly Adagio becomes a powerhouse, even more so than he already is. So that's pretty insane. And you can see there, look at that damage. It's the alternating current that's just been finished, Tasty.
Yeah, really putting in work. When you get the Agent of Wrath buff onto yourself, and you mentioned usually applying the Gift of Fire to a minion. One of the big counters was always to just play safe, play back away from the minion. You don't have to worry about that buff coming out, but when you throw a Flicker into the mix, you can't see him coming into the lane. You don't know when Adagio is going to just throw down the Gift of Fire and get that debuff onto you. As a result, you're seeing the results. First turret already destroyed, sub 6 minutes, and they're just living out of the jungle now.
Look at the damage coming down from Decima. He's going in. There's the slow, but they won't be able to commit. From Hell's Heart, Boomerang doesn't quite land back onto Akura, and I think now Necrolite, after taking down the Crystal Sentry, might start to back away. They're going to steal their camps as they can, and standing solo is still a big threat at this point in time. He's got the Storm Crown. Looks like they're going in. Here goes the Flicker. They've got to be careful of the turret. They're overcommitting a little bit, but the damage is insane. Actually, there comes Verse of Judgment. It's a defensive Verse of Judgment, though. Necrolite bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. They are still looking for a fight here. It's baited onto the Scout Trap. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. Cruel picks up a kill onto Lyra. Necrolite, my word, they are pushing the boundaries.
And they're going to continue to push up under this turret. Maybe a chance for Fate to get this fight.
Maybe here, actually. Trying to commit with that poke, but unfortunately not doing too much. Gibson might be able to pick up a kill. He's desperate for it, but Decima runs in with that Gift of Fire, and the stealth will get the Flicker away. What an escape from Necrolite. And I have been super impressed with their shot calling for these turrets, Tasty Bacon. That first turret, they forced Vox back. They got a kill onto Samuel. Immediate rotation to the turret, took it off the map, and they take that fight in their advantage and get a lot of damage down onto that tier 2. They have been super dominant in terms of their rotations and macro play. They're going in for another fight, though. This action all over the place. The root does come down, and it does land, and Lyra will pay the price once more. Boomerang doesn't come through. They might try and siege onto this turret, though, Tasty.
Yeah, they're going to take it down with the Storm Crown. Easy turret take.
Oh, they're going in onto Akura. He's dead in the water, or should I say in the purple mist. As again, Flicker providing that a catalyst for the kills here. Necrolite just dominant from the outset, still going in onto Gibson. There's the root trying to lock him off. It does land. Actually doesn't, but doesn't matter because the kill still comes through for Adagio. They are just no quarters, even forcing a defensive turret, or rather defensive portal past this turret, and they're going to go for another turret here, Tasty.
And again, the Storm Crown on this Krull, not something we typically see picked up when it's going to be a weapon power Krull. If there's a Crystal Laner, typically you just see pure tank and maybe a little bit of weapon power from a Krull pickup, but instead they went the Storm Crown first and have made absolute work of it. That's why they've been able to just melt through these turrets, getting that extra damage. This Sentry is down and they're still sticking around for a fight.
There's the From Hell's Heart, the first one to land of the game, and it nets another kill over to Stand Solo. This guy's a monster. Monster on this Cruel. 5-0-2 at this point in time with just a bloody Storm Crown. He's got 2,000 gold to spend at this point in time. They have been ridiculously dominant. 8,000 gold in the lead, Tasty Bacon, at 8 minutes. That's 1,000 gold for almost every minute in the game.
And well, they're not necessarily showing signs of stopping, even as they're retreating out of the base. You can see Standing Still looking for an opportunity to go right back in. Looks like they may finally be actually backing off. 9 minutes in, there is a full gold miner they can look to pick up. They're going to steal away the entire...
They can do whatever they want at this point, Tasty Bacon.
They really could. There's not many ways that Fate can get themselves back into this game. It would require like the most absurd connection of ultimates and misplays coming out of Necrolite in order for Fates to really get their footing back in this game.
So what do you make of this contraption potential build path coming up for B-Will? Because I've talked to a lot of people about it. Playing against a Flicker when you're behind and trying to make use of contraption feels like beating your head against a brick wall. It doesn't always actually provide much value, as actually Samuel just gets picked off there. Almost didn't want to finish my point because I knew he was dead. But a lot of people sort of say building a contraption against a Flicker when you're this far behind kind of almost has no impact. Sometimes it's better to just go Crucible and stop your team getting rooted and provide an extra shield.
I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if there's even going to be another item completed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Dominant. Kroll is soloing the gold mine right now, which is the only reason I feel like they aren't looking to go in and try and take some of these crystal turrets down. So, but oh my God.
It's almost like we can't even start here because Shatterglass picked up on Decima. That means those basic attacks are going to be slamming into the enemy. Against an almost triple squishy composition, it's a perfect item as well. Just means you're going to have so much impact with your abilities. The stealth comes through, the scout trap is there. Here comes Blair Kid, he gets the root onto B-Will. The From Hell's Heart lands as well, and Vox will be the first to fall. Actually, B-Will will escape, but the focus was onto a priority target there. More scout traps coming through. They will do their best to clear the waves, but I mean, Necrolite take their toll. Every time they enter into the base, they take their toll, and they're going to go even further. Here comes Gibson. He's the target this time. He will get away. Standing solo, heals up. He is so nearly dead. The shield does come through from the reflex block, however, and the Aegis rather, and they will pick up that kill again. And it's almost an ace, but Akuza is the one to respawn. He's going to get slowed down. He's going to nearly get rooted, but those basic attacks nearly pick him off too. This is almost looking for a sub 15-minute win for Necrolite right now. And I've got to say, Fate have been washed all over the place.
Absolutely. The only saving grace for Fate this game thus far has been the fact that we are sub 15 minutes and the death timers are so short that Necrolite hasn't been able to just finish the game. Saw off that last fight, Standing Solo tried to get down onto that crystal turret, was able to take away about a little over half of its health before the minions ended up getting taken out by the turret, and he had to back off. But this is just one of the most one-sided games we have seen in a while. I'm not going to say ever, because you have to be sub 8 minutes to get that sort of title, but
that's like Weapon Power Sword domination, the sub 8 minutes.
Or Phoenix Armada at Worlds, one of the two.
True. From Hell's Heart nearly lands there again, looking to push into this base. These scout traps not really doing much apart from defensive clearing and just trying to make sure they keep tracks on Blair Kid right now. But I mean, Blair Kid doesn't even need to stealth to have an effect at this point in time. Just so far ahead. Scout traps there, roots just being threatened. The wave clear is pretty good from Fate though. I mean, it does look like Necrolite are starting to struggle to get through this last barrier. I think they're going to either need to get a really offensive team fight, or they might have to wait this out to Kraken to do the job for them. But either way, I think the game is a foregone conclusion at this point. It's just about when Necrolite can actually find that finishing blow.
Yeah, and a lot of that's going to actually depend on Fate. If they try and push out a little bit too far, they could very easily get caught and have the game ended that way. Otherwise, as you mentioned, Excoundrel, feels like Necrolite can just wait for the 15-minute mark where they're going in.
They're going in, and B-Will is the target. He will get rooted up just at the end there. But look at the damage coming up from Standing Solo. Massive from this Cruel, who's got the poison shiv, the extra weapon power, having an immediate impact over that breaking point. They're going to go in here. Actually, do take up the turret. The attack speed obviously higher slightly from the poison shiv too. But Standing Solo just really negating that healing coming from the Lyra. They're going to go for this next turret. They're going to try and push the limits of this game. They are going to get it down, and now they're going to focus down onto that Vein Crystal. They should have what it takes to take this game right here, right now. Sub 12 minutes. They're going to go in. They're going to take it. That's a 12-minute... What am I talking about? It's 13-minute 30. That's hilarious. I'm so delusionally tired, I can't even count to 15. Regardless, it's a 13-minute 30 win. What a stomp right here for Necrolite. That flicker pick. A lot of teams just don't know how to deal with it, Tasty.
Yeah, it's a very difficult pick to deal with. That's why you've actually seen it banned in Vainglory 8 far more times it's been played. Actually, over twice as many bans as it has games played. It's so difficult to play against. You have to completely change your play style when you're dealing with this flicker. And Necrolite, after coming so close to Vainglory 8 in Split 1, they come out firing on all cylinders, looking to make a statement that they want to be back in those challenge battles. Dragonborn?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely did. That's the fastest game we saw, and although it did go to 13 minutes, I think it's safe to say that the game was essentially over at about 6 minutes when that choke turret went down. 6 or 7 minutes, and it was like, yep, this is... You're right, Fate just wasn't prepared for this comp at all, and I think they're going to have to hit the drawing boards and reassess. So they need to definitely push Necrolite to a more later game comp or something, because Flicker definitely tore through them here in the early game.
So I want to pick your brains, Dragonborn, because I know you, like me, we like to talk about builds quite a lot. We like to analyze builds, and the Poison Shiv came out first here over a Breaking Point on Cruel, and Breaking Point classically was always that item we saw a lot of Cruels build up first. I know Tasty Bacon had a pet peeve against it, but the Poison Shiv came through with the 15% extra attack speed over the breaking point, and obviously it's about 20 less weapon power, I think, but it gives him the extra lifesteal as well. And I almost saw standing solo become unkillable in that match. What do you make of that first item, Poison Shiv? I quite like it. I thought it was pretty good, especially into the Lyra as well.
Well, it's really great into the heal, and when you're killing heroes faster than you can build breaking point stacks. So that's something to keep in mind too. Is if they aren't able to build enough defense early, and he built it really early because of how much gold he had. If they aren't able to build any defense against you, and the only thing they had was a fountain and a Lyra, I think that was a surprisingly cautious build item to say, hey, I don't want to just go into the Sorrow Blade and just build pure attack. I'm going to actually respect the composition and build appropriate for the composition, even though we are up really a lot. And I thought that was really, they're basically like 2 or 3 shotting them once they locked on. And so you're not really building stacks fast enough. You're deleting them faster than you could probably build them. So ultimately, I think that was a pretty surprising pickup, even being so far ahead.
This is actually one that I want to chime in on as well, just because Krull has always been one of my most played heroes, one of my favorite heroes in the game, and Poison Shiv is, I feel, should be the first item built on every single Krull if you're going weapon power. With the exception, Storm Crown is an exception, but the first offensive item on any weapon power Krull, because it gives you literally every stat that you could possibly want for offense on Krull. You get a little bit of attack power, you get a ton of attack speed, and the extra lifesteal for that durability. It's a perfect item for it. I'm really glad to be seeing more and more people picking it up.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry, buddy. I know. I'm going to be super Canadian here and just apologize at each other all the time. I was interested about this because obviously I do a lot of looking at stats and analysis, and me and Dragonborn discussed at length the Bonesaw issue and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, if everyone kind of paid attention to the update notes, Poison Shiv had a kind of stealth buff. In the sense that when all the attack speed changes, there was a huge attack speed nerf because of the overall attack speed changes to items. So realistically, they're not really nerfs. They were kind of balances, right? Because obviously attack speed got quicker in general, so you had to nerf attack speed on items. Otherwise, you'd have absolute machine gun carries all the time.
You're right.
But there was only a 5% change, a 5% reduction to Poison Shiv's attack speed. So realistically, in comparison to its power level previously, there's actually way more attack speed for Poison Shiv compared to the other items. And when you combine that with Storm Crown, obviously, it seems like that could be an ideal path for Krull. So I'm interested to see whether this actually becomes a staple or whether this is simply a win more item, as you said, Dragon. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there are item builds that sometimes we can classify as win more, as in you're already winning, so it helps you win more. Right. I wonder if Poison Shiv is falling into that category. I would love to see some tests on it, actually.
Yeah, and I'd like to see more teams probably play it, especially if we get into the later weeks and the higher seeded teams, specifically just the Krull build in general. And we are going into a healer. We only have single ban, which means it's very likely when you go into these games, you may not ban both healers. One of them is going to get through. And I think the real test of it is just how many times teams look at a Krull or just the Poison Shiv in general for that, like a Rona, and go that way instead of the breaking point. You're absolutely right. Definitely an exciting item. We are going to take a quick break, everybody, but when we get back, we're going to get ready for game number 2. It's Necrolite on the fold. Deucing it out here, looking to take another win and move on to round number 2. We'll be right back after the break.
Only $14.99. miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All right, good.
Hey guys, we are back, getting ready for game number 2, about ready to start, and having some cool discussions off cam about how this could work out. We're talking about the Cruel and the Poison Shiv, and I'm really excited. When we get into the later games tonight, we're going to be seeing a lot closer matches, so hopefully we'll get to see some of that all kind of play out there. But guys, we are here to talk about Necrolite and Fate, and right now it really looks like Necrolite, they are in the driving seat. They are looking like they have a clear ticket to the end. What is Fate? Is there anything Fate can do to make Necrolite's life a little bit harder, Tasty?
I was going to jump in for a second. I was like, Tasty, no! I'll be there for you.
It was more than I was trying to just think of what they could do. Ban Flicker, maybe? Because they clearly were not able to deal with the Flicker. It's tough when you're with only the single ban format. Just being so used to double ban, it's much easier to not allow Adagio Flicker to go over, but obviously in single ban, your options are far more limited.
Well, indeed, they are. But with that, guys, we are going to get ready to get into game number 2. The draft is underway, so I'm going to kick it over to you guys to jump right in and break it down.
All right, so is Flicker going to be a ban here for Fate, or are they going to suggest to pick it up themselves? It's an interesting choice. A lot of they're just going to ban it. We don't even need to talk about it. I was talking to Flash a lot of times about how to play into Flicker, and he said you can't really itemize correctly against a Flicker if a Flicker does their job properly. So you often have to build a composition that's a little bit more tanky, where Flicker can't have as much of an impact. But Flicker's taken off the table. It means Lyra could be the first choice here for Fate with the Adagio ban coming through, but that does leave Fortress up, Tasty Bacon. We've seen how impactful Fortress has been for many, many teams.
Yeah, Fortress, again, has been very strong, has the highest win rate of all heroes in a couple of regions, and still a very high win rate, even in the ones where he doesn't have the highest. So Lyra going to come through. Fortress also very strong into healers. Wouldn't be terribly upset to see it picked up here, but looks like they may want to go a different route.
Looks like Lance is coming through. Lance has been super popular in the captain position for multiple teams. Seems to have been a go-to after the Lyra and Adagio. Are thinking about their next pick in this rotation, and they could be thinking about Gwen. It's interesting that we haven't seen much Alpha picked up. We saw a lot of Alpha in VGL today, and obviously Alpha in a strong position. Arguably, it's hard to say whether Alpha is in a strong position legit or not, but it's actually going to be so locked in here for Necrolite. This could be another game to just put pressure onto Fate very early on, try and get that early win again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Saw push turret. That's the old standby everyone knows and loves. We've seen Saw be able to take down tier 2 turrets within the first 6-7 minutes. Could be seeing that here. It depends, but Scarf's going to be the answer. This is kind of interesting because Saw and Lance are very strong early on, whereas the Scarf takes a while to ramp up. But the Glaive being added in there, that could definitely be something to just try and help this Scarf get through the early game. Can really do some work on trying to shut down Saw.
But what Scarf does offer is great wave clear. I mean, and what you need against a Saw in a lot of circumstances is just ridiculously good wave clear. You get to level 2 on the Scarf, and suddenly if a minion wave crashes into your turret, you throw down the goop, you set it on fire. Very difficult to sort of push through that. And Glaive can always pressure Saw in the early game too. So again, this is probably a composition that could work for Fate. It just depends on execution. You definitely feel like Necrolite had the edge on execution there. Tasty Bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. In game 1, it was very clear the execution was in favor of Necrolite. And now they're going to be looking for a repeat performance here as we load onto the fold for game number 2.
We're ready to get this rolling. Can Necrolite run with a sweep in this game? They certainly look dominant in that first one. And the Saw coming through kind of sends a message as well, Tasty Bacon. Very much saying we this is going to sound funny, but I often feel like Saw is almost a disrespect pick in some circumstances because it kind of like feels like he's so easy to deal with. But Lance off the table and Catherine off the table mean there are two heroes that are perfectly good into Saw that won't be able to be on the opposition side. So we'll have to see how Fate makes use of this. Again, they've got the wave clear, they've got the early pressure with the weapon power glaive, as you would imagine. This will be weapon power, so you'll have more of an early impact compared to that cooldown CP glaive. But you do feel like the sort of the prowess still lies with Necrolite, although it looks like it might be a Catherine. Whoa, I've been gazumped. It's weapon power Catherine potentially, or at least she's got a book of eulogies, so it could just be a sustained Captain Catherine, and it's going to be this CP sword jungle that we sometimes see from time to time.
I'm pretty sure you just made up a word.
Gazumped. No, gazumped is a real British word.
I don't think it is.
It's definitely a word. I'll explain to you what the word means while we have no action, or at least until we have no action. Basically, it came from in like the 70s and 80s when British people would put an offer on a house and they'd go through all the process with like buying it and getting to the contracts and all that kind of stuff and exchanging, and then another couple or family would come in and offer higher, and then that buyer would be like, oh, screw you, we're just going to go for the higher offer. It's called gazumping.
That is a very bizarre word. Either way, it does indeed look like this is going to be a weapon Catherine. This isn't necessarily the first time we've ever seen a weapon Catherine, first time in a long time, but it is a thing that has been done. I love doing this in Blitz, but of course Blitz is not exactly Challenger Series, so we'll see if Stand and Solo can make it work here. This is a pick that he has played, you know, on his own time, but interesting start.
Yeah, they're looking to go a little bit aggressive, but I wonder if it will actually be a weapon power Catherine, or we'll just see kind of a double support captain, you know, with a little bit utility for the CP sword. Because remember, if you just can lock people down and get people in the damage from the suppressing fire, CP sword can absolutely one-bomb people. So I'm wondering whether this is kind of a composition to facilitate CP sword, or whether we will actually see a weapon power Catherine. You would have thought that maybe you would have had a weapon power Lance and then had Catherine kind of just take that captain role, but who knows?
Who knows indeed, but Necrolite are the ones that know, as they're the ones that decided to go for this. I'm really looking forward to seeing that first purchase. I have a feeling that it's going to be the weapon power Catherine, because otherwise I feel like they may end up lacking damage if they don't go for it. And it feels like something that they would try and do right now, you know, maybe being really confident after game number 1, trying to, you know, flex on their opponents a little bit, perhaps, but
maybe it'll be an on-hit Catherine, you know, a little bit like the aftershock usually picked up on the maybe we just see a tension button.
Very well could be, actually. It's not unheard of. Again, we have seen weapon power Catherine be run in competitive play before.
Have we?
Crystal Saw, though.
when did we see that?
It was last year. I think.
Was it before I joined Vainglory?
No, I believe it was in a VIS Pro.
Okay.
That it came through once or twice.
Looks like the first kill of the game will go to CP Saw, suppressing fire, doing what it does best, sniping those kills out from afar. And now we're going to see the backs coming out. We'll get a little bit more of an indication where Stand-in Solo aims to go with his build here. Let's wait for him to pick up some items. Actually going to pick up just tier 2 boots straight off the bat. Picks up a chronograph. No, this might not be a weapon power Catherine. This might be cooldown facilitation Catherine. Could even potentially be moving towards literally a double CP. Could even, you know, it could even be just an aftershock Catherine, looking for a bit more burst here. So yeah, it looks like it might not be weapon power.
I think it's actually going to be going for a Storm Crown.
Storm Crown, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, actually with the oak cart, yeah. So that's a little bit more traditional. It could still be weapon power then. Could still be something after the Storm Crown. We'll have to see, but I feel like weapon power Catherine might be.
I was just gonna say, we literally saw last game go Storm Crown into some weapon power. I think we might actually see the exact same build for Stand and Solo here.
Absolutely, he could do the poison shiv. A lot of damage coming down onto him, though. He's going to have to try and escape. One more basic attack will pick him off. Unfortunately, Saw not in the right position. Can get pretty slow when he clears that jungle because of the movement speed modifier. Now Junie in the wrong place at the wrong time. Pops that suppressing fire. Everything dodged. So he's kind of running out of damage, but they're going to keep going on to Lance here. Gibson putting pressure down, and it will be Lyra that gets the kill. And now it's Junie versus the world. Can he escape on this Saw? Doesn't know where to go. Starts to run towards the enemy jungle and pops the boots now to get towards his own. That's a good start, a good return from Fate here. And it is going to be that Storm Crown. Tasty Bacon is picked up now for Catherine.
Yeah, kind of expected that one to be the pickup there. I'm still a fair bit surprised that it's the Catherine in the lane with Saw in the jungle, given the way that they're playing these out. I feel like Stan Solo may have been able to have the same level of success. He started with the weapon blade and gone to the jungle.
Yeah.
And be able to just farm up pretty safely, and that also could help mask what the team is trying to do at that point as well. But they wanted the extra gold onto Catherine, because that's what you do. The lane is where you get more gold, whereas the jungle is where you get more experience, and they obviously wanted to emphasize getting levels onto the Saw, being able to get a little bit extra damage, and of course in Solo getting the gold.
If you're getting stacks all the time as the Catherine in lane as well, you become fairly tanky. Innately, B-Will goes down, another suppressing fire, and that's the combination that we are looking at there, Tasty Bacon. The stun into a full duration of suppressing fire. You can see how impactful that could be for Necrolite.
Gibson.
Yeah, he's going to go in, stand in solo, will escape, pops over a scout trap, and suppressing fire does exactly as it says in the tin, stops the potential follow-up from Fate because of the damage output of that ability right now.
Alright, so Stan Solo gonna make his way back up the lane just casually, doesn't even care about Gibson, just says, you know what, I'm just gonna walk my way right on up to my teammates. And so 2 kills apiece, 6.5 minutes, definitely not the 1,000 extra gold per minute that we saw Necrolite earning in game number 1. But like you said, they have a clear agenda when they go in for a team fight. It's get that stun, get the impale, have someone just stuck in that suppressing fire until it kills them. It's very effective when it does land, but as reflex blocks begin to come out, which I would expect to see very shortly from Fate, that combo can be much more difficult to connect with.
Okay, Tasty Bacon. Weapon Blade and another chronograph for standing solo. Where are we going? What weird and wonderful world is Catherine taking us to right now? Where is standing solo running with this build?
That is an excellent question. You might be right. It might just be the on hit, getting tension bow and an aftershock to go along with it. But we'll
it looks like he's just trying to get.
See.
It looks like he's just trying to get Merciless Pursuit off cooldown as much as possible with the chronograph coming through. There's the Bright Bulwark, the siege now starting up for Necrolite. Here comes Glaive, goes in, Catherine the target, won't get away, and actually the fountain is going to pop. The return silence is strong from Necrolite, but they might have to disengage off the back of this. Dakuma blocks some damage with that Gigdy Wall. Suppressing fire comes through once again, but there's the heal. They nearly take out Scarf. He is very nearly dead on the back line, but right now it is even Stevens in terms of kill. Junie untouched, however, and it looks like Fate are reluctant to pull the trigger and go in.
Yeah, both sides being very cautious at this stage of the game. Neither one having a clear advantage. And Gold Miner is going to be going over here, and Junie, right into Glaive.
Standing solo, now the target actually gets away with the afterburn, helping him out, and now Gibson forces the fountain out from B-Will. Dakuma is now going to start to run towards his own jungle, and they will escape scot-free. It was almost a difficult situation for Necrolite to have found themselves in, but they get away, nothing lost, and a little bit gained.
Well, back up in the lane. You can see Stan Solo trying to get onto Akuza, but nice goop will slow him down. I really like that almost every time Akuza throws out a Spitfire towards Necrolite, Stan Solo actually puts up the bubble and reflects a little bit of damage back and blocks a fair bit of it as well. These scout traps not going to get spotted. One of them will, but we'll see. Stan Solo did go for the tension bow. This is on hit Catherine.
Yep, that's where we thought it might be going. That's the prediction we made at the start. And it looks like she could potentially work towards an aftershock as well. Oh, the root comes down. This should be dead. The silence there, but actually the heal doing some serious work. The Dank Shank not able to apply for Junie. That's a very lucky dragon. And in comes the Glaive. The fountain is there, however. And Gibson going in. Junie waiting for that suppressing fire once more. He needs it to keep standing solo alive. Brilliant, brilliant Githia Wall. Is it going to be enough? It will be enough to take out the Glaive. And actually a great stun from standing solo. The scout trap would have finished him off, but he ends up backing out. and Junie unable to kill that dragon, but will they kill this magician as she goes down to the dank shank? 476 damage right to the face, and Lyra hits the ground.
Oh, what a composition from Necrolite. They are clearly having fun with this one, but still performing to the level that they need to and executing on their goals. Again, while this is a very unconventional composition, we did say there's still a very clear objective. It is very strong what they're able to pull off when they do. The Crucible from Dakuma has been very much on point. It actually really set up the couple of kills there in that last engagement. Not quite going to hit that Impale, but they'll have plenty of damage out of the Catherine, and just all of it is built to set up Junie to just mow down targets with the suppressing fire, and then build up and get to that Dang Shank once someone is low enough for the execute.
Look how far Catherine is ahead on CS to Scarf as well. Actually, Akusa very nearly takes a full suppressing fire to the face here, and here comes Necrolite once more. That suppressing fire is still on a fairly long cooldown as well. He's only got the Shatter Glass to back him up, so when you use it, you have to be absolutely sure you're going to get some value out of it, because once that's down, you kind of have limited options in terms of ranged potential. Incoming Glaive once more, he's going in, standing solo the target. There goes the Lyra, she jumps right into the mix, but they walk straight into the suppressing fire. The Dank Shank lands. Are they going to get the kill? Not quite again. This dragon escapes with his life, but the magician and the whatever the hell the prehistoric creature Glaive is won't be so lucky. Necrolite, whoa, they just walked straight in their fate, and Necrolite decimated them.
Yeah, Necrolites, they had great positioning, and like you said, the suppressing fire coming down the moment Fate tried to engage ends up catching all of them out, doing just tons and tons of damage. Plus, again, you got damage being reflected by Catherine and dishing out plenty of her own. This is just really impressive stuff coming out of Necrolite here.
Here comes Gibson once more. Actually, Goldmine doing some work, standing solo, trying to escape. Look at the damage coming out onto him. There's the suppressing fire as well. It will actually allow Blast Tremor to pick up the kill by standing solo. They won't be able to get the Goldmine, however. So it's kind of Gibson giving his life to prevent some more global gold going in the pocket of Necrolite, but this is looking pretty good. Journey boots now as well for standing solo, really putting a lot of pressure on that movement speed and capability to lock down Scarf, you imagine.
Well, right now, Scarf definitely having some trouble in this one. You mentioned the CS differential, 102 to 132 now, as Standing Solo picks up a few more infusions going to start coming out. Scarf is at the 2-item spike, but you look at the items across the fold, and you've got far more items completed on Standing Solo. Actually has the Echo to be able to have... I would assume it's going to be used mostly for double Blast Tremors, but we'll have to see.
It's going to be Gibson unable to pick up that gold miner, and actually, look at that, the roadie run just destroys him, and again, it is going to be Lyra locked up in another Impale. She has been #1 target for that. Junie jumps in, the Mad Cannon currently going, unfortunately, unable to capitalize as he has to back off from that turret. Scarf without a Frostburn, by the way. That's interesting for me. I feel like Frostburn would have been really good against the Catherine, but decided to go down the Eve of Harvest Broken Myth route. And Junie and the rest of the gang are going to start to pressure this turret. But I think with that wave clear now coming out from Scarf might be a little bit more difficult.
And that's the thing you talked about at the very beginning of this one, Scoundrel, is the fact that they do have phenomenal wave clear thanks to this Scarf. It can make trying to siege up these turrets very, very difficult. It forces the side of Necrolite to have to win fights in order to take turrets. And so if Fate can actually just play very cautiously and avoid getting caught out, maybe avoid looking for fights for a few minutes until they can get a couple more items under their belt, that may be beneficial for them. But Standing Solo has the Aftershock completed now. It is full on hit with an Echo thrown in for good measure, essentially, as they're just really trying to force their way up, maybe having a pick opportunity here on Standing Solo. Oh, now they could be in trouble.
That's a lot of damage coming through, but the suppressing fire once again, it is just so strong. Look at the damage coming out. Junie picks up 2. Can he pick up 3? Dekuma unable to get through that movement speed, and there we go. Frostburn is picked up for Scarf now. You can see how difficult it might be to get through those Spitfires, but nevertheless, it is Necrolite pushing onto this turret. Whoa, Akusa taking a lot of damage from that, and there the Dank Shank. What? 1,000 damage? That was insane, Tasty Bacon.
That's called a stacked up broken myth and an ability that does more damage based on your opponent's missing health.
that is just ridiculous.
It's always fun to see those numbers, even though you know that if your target is at full health, you're not going to be doing anywhere near as much damage. It's still very, very powerful. Like the damage in general on the roadie run is just incredible. Getting the execute for those truly silly numbers just makes it that much more fun.
I wonder what this Echo is actually being used for. I actually could even...
It's been being used on Blast Tremors.
Is it definitely being used on Blast? Because I could even argue you use it for Merciless Pursuit. If one gets blocked, you just Echo a Merciless Pursuit again.
That is an option if you just really, really need the stuns, but thus far, every single time I've seen it used, it's been used on the Blast Tremor. The double silence, and it's a pretty hefty burst of damage for standing solo as well. It's been used to pretty great effect. It's really shut down a lot of what B-Will's been trying to do, not being able to activate items for 6+ seconds as a result if they both connect. Pretty massive.
And then Solo again, taking very little damage with that Soul Shield. Here comes the silence once more. He might end up using it again, the double Blast Tremor. There it is. Look at the damage coming out. They get the first kill. They're trying to get the second. Dekuma running through. Oh, the roadie run just picks up yet another member of Fate. 13 heads on their chain, and Akuza blocks out the Impale, but can he block out the Githian Wall? It looks like Dekuma does land it. The roadie run comes through. 755 damage, and Akuza will go down to Mad Cannon. That's the ace. Necrolite are looking to close this one out in another dominant game. A very quirky composition, but they're making it work.
Yeah, very fun composition to watch as well. It's always fun to see teams break the meta. It's one thing that I've been critical of some teams in Vainglory 8 and even challengers in the past of being married to the meta a little bit too much. So when a team comes out and just goes completely away from the norm and makes it work, I always love to see that, and Necrolite absolutely doing so here as they have Kraken now pushing towards the base of Fate, looking to drop them into the loser's bracket.
Look at this, Catherine. Now a null wave gauntlet. If you had silenced enough... Oh, wait. I got some silence, bro. I'm going to put some more silence on it. And hey, how about I add an item silence to that as well? Do you actually want to play Vainglory? Because today, I'm not going to let you do that. And it looks like another Blast Tremor comes through. Large damage, double Blast Tremor, here we go. And the actual Null Wave Gauntlet has been used also. So much damage, and Fate just cannot do anything. Obviously, a super late fountain coming out because of the silences and the item silences. And Necrolite with Kraken are going to look to win this game, suppressing fire. Actually, Gibson has to use his Afterburn to get out of it, but this is nothing to do for Fate. Fate has been locked since the very start of this game begun, and it is the fate of Necrolite picking up the win. A 2-0 stomp over their opposition. Kraken and the rest of the team should be able to finish this off. This is going to be the Vein Crystal going down. A 2-0 to Necrolite. We didn't expect anything less, but what fashion to win this second game in.
And, I mean, Fate put up a much better fight in game number 2, but once this composition came online, once Necrolite was able to do what they were hoping to, there were just not really any ways back into this one for Fate, as Necrolite just so dominant, like you mentioned. I want to go back to the silences real quick, just for a moment. Blast Tremor with 3 points in it, which Stand Solo did put 3 points into the ultimate, is a 2.8 second silence. So you double that, that's almost 6 seconds of silence. And then you add a 4-second item silence. That's 10 seconds. If it's all like stacked perfectly, that's almost 10 seconds of not being able to use your activatables.
Pretty insane. Dragonborn, you were watching from the sidelines. What did you make of that?
I mean, I was actually pretty impressed. Fate, early game, they were starting to hold their own. I guess we anticipated it was going to be a push sock comp, right? We thought, oh no, early game, it's really going to suck. But instead, they actually go for a later game composition with the Crystal Saw in the jungle and with the weapon Catherine. Well, it ended up being a Crystal Catherine, but like a utility, burst damage, silence. Really, it was all about Saw going in, doing damage, and then them just silencing the team, preventing Fate from really doing anything during those team fights. So ultimately, Fate played a little bit better. I did think the Scarf pick was a really good pickup. I mean, they really anticipated that being in the lane. Ended up not really being the case, but overall, they played about as good as they could for the good 4 or 5 minutes, but then right as the composition for Necrolite started to turn on, you could see just there was very little they could do. The timing, the standing solo really was doing a good job timing his silences too. I mean, you mentioned in Tasty, he was not playing softball. He was going all the way, trying to time his silences with his gauntlets. I mean, it was really impressive.
Oh yeah, the chain CC there was just insane, Dragonborn. I've got to be honest, I'm not Tasty, but I just thought I'd answer you anyway.
Oh, no problem.
I think they played an incredible game, and obviously it was a composition that was designed to play around that CP saw, but realistically a lot of work was done by stand-in solo. Incredible player, actually. Obviously had a great game on that cruel, and obviously played very well in this game too. Really took Fate to the cleaners, you'd have to say. I think Fate are going to have to trade those tarot cards back in for a revamp, because unfortunately didn't work out in their favor this time.
Yeah, unfortunately not, as they are going to drop down to the loser bracket, but they've got an opportunity to redeem themselves at least for a couple of rounds as they work their way through the elimination rounds of the tournament. But we're still here up in the winners round, looking to get to the next match. We are going to be jumping over pretty soon here to go watch Misfits as they move on to winners round number 2. We did get confirmation of that update, so we're going to be getting that all sorted for you guys just a moment. But we are first going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey everybody, welcome back as we are getting ready for our second series of the night. We are right now getting ready to add Misfits to the queue, and then we're going to wait for the second team. They're actually playing their round one game. It's Team Classified. They are going up against, right now I'm taking a look, it is I Don't Really Care. I do care, but the name of the team is I Don't Really Care. So the winner of that game will be moving on and playing Misfits in just a few moments. So, Excoundrel, Tasty, as we get kind of ready here for our second series. Some pretty exciting matches. I mean, that last one was pretty cool. It's cool to see off-meta picks come in these lower early rounds. It's actually more cool to see them in the later rounds, too. So, but what are some of your bold predictions here for tonight? Any major upsets or any compositions you think are definitely going to happen that should surprise the viewers?
It's early rounds of challengers means I don't make any sort of compositional predictions because you never know what's going to come out. A lot of teams, if they're feeling very confident about their matchup, will shake things up just like we saw Necrolite do. A composition like that's likely not a composition you're going to see them pull out in the later stages of the tournament.
Bold predictions,
but by playing it here early and winning with it, it puts that little bit of a seed of doubt in all future opponents' minds of maybe they'll go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I remember last year we had a few cool challengers teams that continued to put a lot of pressure. Mutiny was a team that came to mind who would, really impress the enemy, their enemy teams, actually winning and upsetting a lot of them by playing some of these off-meta comps and actually winning with them. But yeah, it's hard to really say for sure. Necrolite, though, listen, they made it fourth place. Third place last split and made it all the way to challenge battles, almost winning their challenge battles. They have definitely earned the right to be considered among the elite here in this challenger series.
Yeah, they've looked very, very good so far. I apologize in advance, Dragonborn. I'm playing a game with chat, and it's going to be me fitting in words into the cast that probably make no sense. So I'm apologizing in advance, but I thought it'd be some fun.
The whole key is you have to make them make sense.
Yeah, I will do. I'm going to try and make them make sense.
It's basically cheating if you just throw them out there without it making sense.
So wait, who's picking the words, though?
Chat have picked the words. I'm not putting offensive ones in there. Someone wanted to say something about a certain part of a male anatomy that I didn't think was
probably not appropriate.
Super important, but
although you could probably have fitted it in the chat or into the discussion, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I got it through a DM.
Easy.
I won't repeat it, but that's not going in there. So I've got a list. I'm sure I'll try and make them work.
All right, well, we're going to be getting ready in just a second, but let's take a few seconds to go over these two teams. Of course, the matchup that we have in front of us right now that's going to be starting, it is going to be Misfits versus Team Classified. So we get that up here. There we go. Misfits, number 2 seed. Oh, shoot, it's not. Did we get word that Classified won their game? Yep, we did get word. So it is going to be Team Classified, as that just came through, and they're going to be getting invited. I'll be honest, looking at the rosters here, we obviously all know Misfits. They came from the Challenger Series themselves. They went on an undefeated tear, going all the way up and knocking out their Vainglory 8 opponent at the time. But then they served the same fate that they once gave to someone. And now they're going up against a Team Classified. I'll be honest, I haven't really gotten to see any of these players play before. So I think Tasty and Excoundrel, these are kind of like a first for us to kind of see how good this team is.
Well, they got tough opposition. If they want to prove themselves, proving yourself against the second seed is always important. But obviously, Misfits, they want to get back to the VGA. They are hungry to make it back to those challenge battles and find themselves in the top tier of play once again. So I think we're going to have to keep their eyes on these guys. They're definitely going to be motivated to make it all the way through to those big ticket challenge battles. And I was a bit bamboozled, to be honest, Tasty Bacon. When I saw them get knocked out, I was shush. I thought they were an incredibly strong team, but again, they probably shouldn't have too much of an issue making it to the top flights of this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Still a very strong team, despite not making it through the challenge battle successfully. They lost to a very strong team in the process. So I would not be at all surprised, as you mentioned, Scoundrel, if they do end up being right back in those challenge battles with a shot at Vainglory 8 once more.
And honestly, I think if they lose, I'll be taken by a severe case of cataplexy, because it's just, honestly, I was such a strong competitor last series and last tournament that I don't see any way that we don't see Misfits at the absolute top flights in those playoff brackets as well.
It'll be interesting to see how they do with Zero on the team now, replacing King. And going to be seeing if this is an improvement or not.
Oh yeah, Tasty, you troll. Yeah, so Zero, he is King, formerly known as Joker, formerly known as Exhale. I actually saw him tweet out today, something along the lines of, hey, you can't name change like Exhale name changes. The guy's been through so many name changes at his level. It's kind of surprising. But with that, guys, we actually are ready to get into this first game here of the series, so I'm not going to take any more time. I'm going to kick it over to you, Tasty, to get us started.
All right, well, Fortress going to be taken off the board immediately, followed by a Lyra. That leaves a very quick Adagio. First pick here for the side of Misfits, and again, you're definitely the favorite here coming into this matchup, as again, we expect them to make a nice deep run, but quick draft, both teams seeming to know exactly what they want to do.
I don't know whether I've got a case of hyperglycemia, Tasty Bacon, but I might be going delusional that I'm seeing so many early Scarf picks. I don't know if this is something that NA has started to adapt to, but I haven't seen much of this in drafts across Europe, but very early Scarf coming through here for TC, and now Misfits are going to respond. They're going to pick up the Gwen. And how do you think they round this composition out? You think that obviously this is probably going to be Captain Adagio, as you're not likely to put him into the jungle. We don't see that too often, so you've got to round this out with a jungler that you think fits. Alpha definitely super strong right now and is going to get locked in.
Super strong and going to be very likely the Crystal Alpha with a Weapon Gwen. We've seen multiple different builds with Weapon Gwen. Some players opting to go for the Tension Bow first, some going for Breaking Points, some going for Sorrow Blades. It's kind of all over the place with Gwen. There isn't one de facto build that has kind of become the standard.
Well, when you say some, keep in mind one of those sums for the Tension Bow, it is Druid, who does prefer that, but yeah, it is all over the place.
Absolutely, we are going to be heading on to the Halcyon Fold. The Misfits composition locked in, looks pretty strong, very meta. I think it's the best way to describe it. Then you do have this Scarf coming through for TC, and the Sky coming through as well. So are we expecting to see this Scarf go to the jungle and see a Weapon Power Sky and lane, Tasty, do you reckon?
It's certainly a possibility, but...
Oh no, double CP.
Going with Crystal Bits, yeah.
Yeah, double CP, that's super interesting. And with the pickup of the early shielding here, it's interesting for Red Horse. Interesting.
Definitely going to be a curious pickup. We'll see if it works out for them. I'm not typically a big fan of double crystal power, but at the same time, into a composition like Misfits has, they don't really have the greatest ability to just stack defensive items. They're going to be looking to be very offensive, and that's when the double crystal can shine, is when your opponents aren't just going to be building multiple Aegises and things of that nature.
Looks like this is going to be everybody moving through the early jungle here. Scarf actually could take a bit of damage from this central Treant. Elder Treant will do a little bit of work, but he'll get the regen and he'll head to lane. I guess he's more scared of the Adagio's damage output in the captain role than the Gwen early on, so went for the shielding. But that's interesting to me, very interesting. Looks like a Impale from Gimmick trying to come out, but doesn't quite land. Missed there. And he'll back off, head towards that turret to just provide a little bit of defense for Red Horse, but they're getting shoved in pretty quickly here.
Yeah, Eco and Zero are going to be looking to have a lot of damage output. And I find it interesting that I like the name changes from King/Zero/Joker/Exhale. It kind of fits with their current position. Oh, Eco going to take a lot of damage here, but when they're in the Vainglory 8, it's King. Once they're knocked down and they have to climb their way all the way back up through challengers, that's when it becomes Zero. It's pretty fitting.
Looks like they're going to go on to Zero here. Takes a lot of damage. Actually, Githian rolled out of the ignited goop. And Zero kind of counts his chickens before he makes soup out of them. Chicken soup. That was a weak one, I'm sorry. And Trust Reborn goes down to Alpha early on here. Look, giving him an invade, actually takes advantage of the Sky being on low HP. And Eco will just sustain Zero up in lane.
You know, there's someone in the game named Illist, and you're gonna waste the chicken soup.
Oh, damn it, I missed it. Oh, I wasted the chicken soup. I wasted the chicken soup, Tasty.
Well,
I should have said Sky needed a bowl of chicken soup after Illis takes it. Oh, damn it.
exactly.
Oh, oh, I've missed it. I ruined it. Okay, the next one will be better. The next one will be better.
Either way, Misfits off to that 1-0 start. First blood go in their favor. Gonna be a little bit of a gold lead. Eco gonna stop these minions. This is always such a risky play to do when your opponents are still in the lane, because you take a lot of damage from those minions. You see Eco a little bit below half health as a result, but your laner will definitely appreciate it. And there's the risk.
Yeah, that's the risk. Eco took a lot of damage just holding that lane up, and Gimmick managed to capitalize with that Lance Impale. But Zero able to pick up the remains of this CS here, so probably grateful for the sacrifice because he's going to get a lot of money in the bank for that.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. It gives your laner plenty of gold, but they are going to be able to get at least a kill on the board. There's the tension bow. First item, very early pickup here, 3.5 minutes for Zero. And that could be pretty tough because Red Horse on this scarf, obviously not very durable early on. And so this is maybe going to be something they have to be very wary of.
Going to be clearing these waves out pretty quickly here. Zero having to be pretty careful, but uses that buckshot just to try and slow things down, get some damage across the TC side minion wave, and is going to try and even things up nice and steadily. Looks like a very early crystal bit stacking for Sky in the jungle. This is one of the most gold effective ways to increase your damage. The double CP though, Tasty, talk to me about this, because it's been a long time since we've really seen competitive double CP compositions. It feels like this is going to scale incredibly well here for TC.
It has a lot of scaling, a lot of burst damage as well, but I think that one of the big downsides to it is you have to worry about if your opponents end up just building a ton of shielding in response and are able to deal with you that way. If you can get the early scaling, if you can get a couple of kills rolling off the bat, then you can kind of get yourself into a spot where you have enough of a lead that'll carry you through, but that's not been the case thus far for Misfit, or for, sorry, not Misfits, for Team Classified. Started getting a little bit nervous for Illis there, going very, very low.
Yeah, Ellis, oh, that's a big, oh my word, Prime Directive, and he picks up a kill with the core charge as well. I was almost half expectant not to see that land, but it was a massive, massive Prime Directive across the wall. Ellis again picking up another kill on this Alpha, and when an Alpha starts to snowball, Tasty, that's where some really, really bad things can start to happen, almost at that Aftershock item spike too.
Yeah, and that is such a big, oh my goodness.
That's a lot of damage onto Lance there. Zero has picked up the Tension Bow, by the way, Tasty. Talk to me about Tension Bow first on Gwen. Are they just trying to look to push this item spike advantage with the Aftershock combo with the Tension Bow?
It's literally just it gets you early game advantages that you can then very easily snowball into late game. And I mentioned it when he first picked it up 3.5 minutes in to have that first item completed, and the level of burst it gives. You saw it there in action. It just destroyed Gimmick's health bar in an instant. And
it had a slight buff to its Pierce as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a little bit better in the late game than it used to be, at least. But it's all still very much about the early game and just trying to get yourself a lead that your opponents can't come back from. Red Horse.
Oh, look at the damage. Here comes the stun. Red Horse has to back off with the boots. Gimmick does provide that wall, that barrier with the Githian, and does manage to knock them away. Looks like Trust Reborn has picked up his Frostburn. Double Frostburn, by the way, Tasty. So Team Classified have got huge amounts of control of the pace of these team fights, but in comes Illist. Has got that Prime Directive available. Here comes the damage. Lands that core charge, and it is going to be Gwen with the final blow. Lance buried in the ground, and Zero and the gang from Misfits really starting to put on pressure. Now it's going to be Red Horse, but I think that turret has started to push them away, and obviously he's actually going to use the Dragon's Breath to just clear things up. That will ignite the goop as well. So it will stop that Misfits push right in its tracks.
Yeah, that's, again, one of the strengths of Scarf is once you have a few items, yeah, almost having to, again, it's so difficult because this is such an aggressive composition that if anyone gets a little bit out of position, there's a good chance they end up falling. And so Misfits right now 4-1. Nice kill lead. They haven't really been able to get too much done as far as the objectives are concerned, but here's a nice rotation.
Yeah, actually Zero now has to back off. That's Frostburn doing some serious work. Eco coming in, and from the backline here comes Illist. He's not going to go super aggressive here though, I think. Oh yeah, oh well, he nearly was, and he's actually going to pop that ultimate expecting to go down, but his reboot wasn't actually procced there, Tasty Bacon, so he will escape into the brush and back off here, but probably unwilling to commit too hard now that he doesn't have that backup plan of his ultimate or his passive.
And definitely expect them to maybe be a little bit more cautious unless they are 100% confident they can grab a kill without any negative repercussions, but instead they're just going to focus on this turret. That's going to fall. That's going to be a little bit of gold. Illist taking a little bit of damage, but should be able to get out okay.
Oh, the Impale does land onto Adagio. He's actually going to pop the ultimate to allow his team to escape. A lot of damage coming down here. Here comes the Fountain. Actually, looks like Illist is going back in. Dragon's Breath is going to provide a real issue. He picks up one kill. Now Illist trying to scalper something from the back lines. He actually does get one, but will pay for his life as the forward barrage chunks in. And it'll only be Zero that escapes. What can TC do with this? Can they take a turret? Can they take the gold mine? Can they get anything at all here, Tasty Bacon?
I just don't think so. The death timers are so short. Without getting the ace buff, those minions aren't going to be pushed up. And so as a result, it's just going to be a little bit of breathing room that they end up gaining as a result of the fight going their favor and being able to pick up a couple of kills. Oh!
Damn, that was quick. Zero tries to jump in. He does land a stun, but a lot of damage coming down. The heal is there. One more Spitfire will pay Zero's life a visit. And he will actually just back off here. But they do get the kill onto Trust Reborn, so slowly chipping away at the TC lineup here, and Misfits taking a very, very small advantage in this early game. They kind of need it though, because they have got a lot of late game powerhouses to play up against, including that CP Sky and the Scarf, so we will have to pay attention to how quickly Misfits can move this game forward in their advantage.
I mean, this is turning out to be a much closer game in terms of the way the team fights are going than I think most people were initially expecting. There is still a lead for Misfits. It's still about a 3,000 gold lead or so, a little bit less than that actually, but it's still a lead. It's still an advantage. They have that turret down, but this double crystal composition from Team Classified is able to get some good damage in. Ooh, this is bad.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to go in here. Actually, incoming for Trust Reborn. Oh, the Prime Directive doesn't quite land, but it doesn't matter because it's all Gwen right now as Eco forced to back away. Actually going to jump in here, and it is going to be Scarf looking to pick up the kill, but Illist is going to do so much work, and then again, Gwen picks up the kill. No one dealing with Gwen on this back line, and with this Tension Bow and the Sorrow Blade, she is hitting like a truck. A cowgirl-looking truck. Looked insane. I didn't know where I was going with that, Tasty. This is where you.
I'm not sure where you're going with that either, but the immense payout is going over to Misfits, and they are going to be extending this gold lead a little bit further. Still, looking for the ace that will get them big objectives, but breaking point now completed for Zero. That's 3 offensive items completed, and we've already seen just how quickly they can melt through the members of Team Classified. No armor whatsoever except for this lance, and that's just attributing to what we saw in that last fight where Red Horse looked like it maybe had a chance to turn things around, but then just all of a sudden got deleted off the fold, and it's because of just how much damage is coming out of Misfits.
Tasty Bacon, my friend, talk to me about this defensive itemization from Misfits, including Eco, who has gone for an Aegis. So talk to me about this. You can see tier 2 kinetic shielding on Zero and Illist already. They are seeming prepared for this double CP composition.
I mean, it's the Aegis is purely just because it's double CP. Like, why would you build armor? There's no reason to. There's no weapon power damage coming out except for from Lance, and he's not building damage, so it's just his base numbers. So there's no reason not to just build as much shielding as possible. A lot of it is directional damage as well. Forward Barrage and Spitfires both have to come from one direction. So if you can just have Eco be in the front and being the one to eat all that damage, then you've got yourself a clean teamfight victory if you're the side of Misfits.
I guess you're not too worried about having a Crucible either, because there isn't that many huge team-wide abilities apart from maybe Death from Above that you want to block. And you can probably rely on Gwen, who has a reflex block built into her kit, and everybody has their own individual reflex blocks soon as well, at least looking like he's moving towards one. That's probably enough reflex blocks for you to work with on a teamfight basis that you don't necessarily need the Crucible. And it just makes Eco that much more durable, right? So he can just be a bit more durable in these teamfights.
Exactly. That's precisely the mentality that Misfits are looking to have coming into this. And you can see just going to try and get a little bit of chip damage on this turret. Just trying to, again, stick around and put pressure on and make it so that Team Classified doesn't have much space to move, much much to work with in terms of gaining gold. Misfits, it's their game plan. They're sticking to it and they're making it work right now. Those tension bow procs onto the turret.
Oh, that is an ace side that goes the wrong way, and Trust Reborn will Suri strike to safety. Frostburn's doing some serious work. If Misfits don't get a good engage, they find it very difficult to retreat because of this double Frostburn that they're facing up against. And look how quickly Trust Reborn and Red Horse are accelerating to their late game builds. This is 3-item Scarf already, and it's very nearly a 3-item CP Sky 2, who's picked up an infusion off the back. I mean, is this scary for Misfits? Do they have to be worried? Because they haven't really ascertained a huge lead at this point in time. It's only about, well, 4,000 or so they're not really sort of accelerating like we saw Necrolite did. Is this a scary situation for Misfits to be in?
I think Misfits are definitely still going to be comfortable with the current situation, just because they are still ahead. They're playing very, very conservatively, but they're getting things done. They're still getting this damage on the turret. They even look for a fight now.
Looks like Illist does get it with that core charge. He's now taking a lot of damage from the forward barrage. Misfits don't seem like they want to commit in these kind of situations. They're just really capitalizing on global objectives, trying not to fight as much as possible, trying to take a fight on their terms. Zero doing most of the work to try and ward people away. Crystal Sentry is now going to be up there, but I don't think this will be a target given how close the TC team is to Misfits. And with that fully stacked gold miner, you have to wonder whether Misfits are going to risk going for it and baiting TC into a fight, given how undecisive Misfits have been, or that's not even a word, given how hard it has been for Misfits to capitalize on these team fights.
Close to a word. Indecisive.
Close to a word. I was close.
Literally one letter off, so not too bad. Given all the other verbiage you've gotten in here during this game, I think we'll give it a slide. But Misfits definitely, again, still playing very cautiously, knowing that there is a chance that they can go too deep and give team fights over to Team Classified, but they're playing this very intelligently. They're making it so that if Team Classified wants to try and fight, they almost have to come to them, and that's where Misfits are going to have an advantage if they can be the ones to dictate where the fights happen, and that's precisely what they've been able to do all game.
Illist again, maybe looking for a flank play here, but not over-committing. He needs to find a good position to get those prime directives onto the backline, try and circumnavigate the lance. I have to fit Santa Maria in here somewhere, Tasty Bacon, and I don't even know what that means, so I'm sure you'll just might hear me scream it during a team fight at some point. Eco jumps in, Trust Me One, he just blown up Santa Maria! He goes down, and Crystal Sentry is now going to be the target. That was a lot of damage. Okay, did it.
Oh, that was a lot of damage. Team Classified trying to fight back with this Crystal Sentry, but that's going to get taken out. And now with Kraken on the fold, looks like that's just going to be where Misfits look to go next. There is a possibility of a steal from Red Horse, but that would be very likely a death for Red Horse if he got even close to this Kraken. So we'll see. Thinking about it. He's not going to get there.
Talk to me about this vision control for the Misfits. It just seems to have been completely dominant. It allowed them to set that play up just because they had complete control of the vision. Does it really feel like TC have been able to move into position to gain control of even their own jungle at this point in time?
And a lot of that's just because TC's been stuck on the back foot playing defensively. Here we go.
Oh my word, that is an aggressive Gwen, but she lands it where it counts. And it is going to be Red Horse backing off here. Illist jumps in, massive prime directive. Here comes the ultimate as well, but look at the regeneration the Red Horse has got. He doesn't even go down, will eventually, and now Illist is the target for Reborn. He should pick up the kill, but look at that, he actually survives, and now Illist unable to really do too much work, getting kited here, and the forward barrage should be that killing blow. Eiko on such low HP is going to back off, but Kraken right now is doing some work, actually gets rooted right at the last. Eiko, can he escape? Sentry doing so much here. Gimmick is going to get the final basic attack that should seal the deal. Githian Wall does the job, and now they've just got to deal with Kraken.
Yeah, Kraken did take down one turret there. Nice damage. Trust Reborn on this Sky was able to fight so incredibly well. Maybe Zero went a little bit too aggressive at the start of things and kind of got split up from the rest of the team, but a really good job from Team Classified to answer and know exactly what they had to do in that particular situation and minimizing the damage. And that's really the key. When you fall behind, you just want to try and take as little damage to your structures as possible. And with a Kraken that was, this looked like it should be a fairly clean victory for Misfits. Kraken only getting the one lane turret, but it is the most important lane turret, the tier 3, that choke point, and almost takes down one of those crystal turrets. Still a big lead for Misfits. Oh, and Gimmick.
A lot of damage here, but remember, TC have got a lot of control, so if Illis can't land a burst, and he does jump in here looking to put pressure, but that kite is just so strong from TC right now. You feel like Misfits, if they don't get one of those instantaneous blow-ups onto a target, then they are going to struggle. You've seen how much regeneration comes from that Dragon's Breath. You've seen how much regeneration Trust Reborn can put out with his forward barrage. Feels very difficult right now for Misfits to actually win sustained team fights. I think they have to find the perfect engage and blow up one of these backline mages. But Gimmick doing a great job of just body blocking as much as he can. Energy regeneration really strong from TC as well, so they've got a lot of sustain. It looks like Misfits are just playing the rush game here. They're going to shove this minion wave down, going to force TC to come to them. Looks like it is going to be Zero going down. He blocks it out, and actually Gimmick taking a lot of damage here. In come Alpha, lots of damage as well, but the block of the Aces High will do some work. It is now just Red Horse and Trust versus the world. Here comes the ultimate as well. Has Red Horse overstepped the boundary? It's a lot of damage. Doesn't actually proc. And Red Horse with a huge amount of sustain. Doing so much work here. The late game Scarf has come online. Look at Red Horse go. This horse is galloping all the way to a team fight win. And it looks like Trust Reborn now with that forward barrage and trying to chase down the remaining members of Misfits. Goop will do some work. Here comes the basic attacks that should finish him off. And now Eco goes down as well. Is TC turning this around? Have they hit the point of the game where they come online, because Misfits really can't find a win right now?
It's looking good for Team Classified, at least right now. The double Broken Myth, double Frostbird, double Eve of Harvest is just putting in work in these team fights. The slows, the sustain have been massive. They're putting so much focus on taking down Zero because that's the sustained damage. And then it's just Illis who has a lot of burst, but sustain is the sustain from these two carries on the side of Team Classified has just been enough to deal with that burst. Alpha's able to get in, bursting down low, but just can't quite finish the job. And as a result, Red Horse and Trust Reborn have been able to just keep themselves in the fight, keep going. The Crystal Sentry doing a lot of work that time. They get their first turret of the game and take 2 of them at that. And just like that, we are back to now a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Misfits. Kraken has respawned, but Team Classified, they are in this game.
And you feel like there has to be a way for Zero to get to the backline, because there's no armor on Trust or Red Horse. Literally almost zero armor. There's a little bit from Aegis, obviously, but not any dedicated armor at this point in time. And with the tension bow, you're even going to shred through a little bit of that regardless. So you feel like at some point, Misfits have to be able to get Zero to the backline, because he's really the only one that I think is going to be threatening at a high level onto the Team Classified backline. But it's very difficult. There's not many ways to accelerate that Gwen into a position where she can actually flank properly. And even with just Eco, he's not exactly an aggressive captain. It's very defensive. Here comes the ultimate, though. They are going to jump in through. Illis now starting up that chain, but Gimmick, it was happy to take the damage. Already, Illis being forced away, the Crystal Sentry doing work as well. Here comes Dragon's Breath. They start to run in. Reborn has got taste for blood, and Misfits stuck between a rock and a hard place. Here comes the ultimate from Eco, not really doing anything, but just Reborn is actually really, really low to going down here. Eco managing to soak up a bit of damage, and it's actually going to be Gimmick and Scarf picking up a kill as Illis has to run between his mechanical tails between his legs. And now TC should be able to solidify and pick up this Kraken. They are turning things around.
They really are. This is going to be Kraken going over to Team Classified, and Gimmick has been doing such a phenomenal job on the front line of this team, soaking up the vast majority of the damage that's been coming out from Misfits in these last couple fights, and really enabling Red Horse and Trust Reborn to get their damage out. Kraken will be unleashed. Illis doesn't get the chance to steal it away. Now has to run away from these double crystal composition. We're always so wary of it. It takes so long to really come online, but Trust, Reborn, and Red Horse have been able to survive and last until that point, and now we've been seeing the results in these last few fights.
What do you think Illis has gone Blazing Salvo for? Just to reduce the core charge cooldown even more? Do you think that's where he's going with it? Because obviously, look, there's no point beating around the bush. Alpha is bugged on this skin right now, or at least it's supposedly a bug. So, you know, she's got a very, very low cooldown on core charge. Now actually forced out by herself, isolated by Team Classified that will back off, and actually not having the passive proc too. So that's really, really good for Misfits. It will give them a little bit of a lease of life in potentially one of the last team fights of the game here. My word, it's so close right now for Team Classified. This will be a huge win for them if they can beat Misfits, and Misfits will have to reanalyze how they've potentially thrown away this game. Definitely needs to be a little bit more aggressive in the early game. They gave too much time to this double CP composition, and with the double Frostburn providing so much control, making it difficult for Illis to find his target. It's been a very clever, sort of patient game, you'd have to say, from Team Classified.
Yeah, the patience has really been the key. It's not often that teams have the level of patience to survive that early game power that was coming out from Zero with the tension bow start on Gwen. The item has since been sold for a second Sorrow Blade because we are into that late game stage where the damage, the flat damage is just needed, as opposed to that the level of burst that the tension bow was able to provide. And I mean, you've got to be starting to get worried if you're Misfits. You're clearly maybe not recovered from their challenge battle against One Piece 101 on Saturday, because they have not been able to close out this game. They had the advantage, they had the momentum, they had all the pressure, but Team Classified has just been able to hang on and turn things around completely. We're now even on kills. The gold is just about even. The turrets are even. Like, this is a phenomenal performance from Team Classified in that they were able to turn this around and just outlast Misfits through the early game. Now it's just a matter of if they can finish it off.
Again, a little bit more shielding coming out for both Eco and Illis. They are sort of investing in a little bit more to protect themselves from this CP damage, but double piercing shard in the form of the Broken Myth and an extra piercing shard for Red Horse will be able to get through some of that. Misfits look really scared. They don't know where to fight, they don't know how to fight, and they know that a lot of their sort of potential relies on Zero on this Gwen. Look how aggressive TC are being at this point in time. Zero again taking the front line. That's a lot of damage chunked onto Reborn. If he can do that in a team fight, that's a great situation. He's looking for the flag. He lands it onto Sky. That's so much damage coming down. They take him down. This is great for Misfits. This is exactly what they needed, but look at Red Horse. He is jumping in. The fountain does land, but is it going to be enough? No! And now it is Alpha versus Scarf. Can Alpha keep up to him? She's got a lot of chase down with that core charge. The Prime Directive as well, but Gimmick doing his best to body block at this point in time, and now Scarf is a reliable distance away. The heal doing what it can. And that was a good fight for Misfits, but they aren't able to capitalize the way they wanted. Scarf is going to back off. What can Misfits do with this? Can they win the game? Can they pick Kraken? Are they even in a good enough position? Because I think they're not going to be quick enough. I think Scarf still being up is too much of a threat, and they are just going to back and reset. But that's what they need to do. They need to get Gwen to that backline. 1-for-1
trade at 25 minutes. These two teams are absolutely giving it their all here in game number 1 of this best of 3 series. I can't believe we're going to get a second game of this, regardless of how this ends. I can't wait to see the way game number 2 goes. Trust Reborn and Red Horse, and if they can just survive through that initial damage, they've already proven they can turn these fights and win them.
Double Fountain as well, by the way, Tasty. We haven't picked up on it again, but obviously no point in really having something like an Atlas Pauldrons, no point investing into armor, so it just provides them with extra sustain against a very sustained team fight from TC. Look at these flares coming out. The second piercing shard finished for Trust Reborn. Now everybody is piercing. Double Broken Myth actually finished up just for the CP bonus for Red Horse. So it's looking like it's a scary situation for Misfits, but if they can do that again with Zero, and Zero can survive and actually get damage onto Scarf, I actually think Scarf should be the priority, Tasty. I think you can deal with Sky afterwards, but if you can get Scarf down, that's probably the situation that Misfits want to find themselves in. It's a really tense situation right now.
I think Scarf is definitely the catalyst for the side Team Classified, but oh, they found Eco.
They found Eco going in. He's trying to look for reverse of judgment, you would imagine. Actually having to back away now. That's the ultimate from Zero, not on a priority target. And remember, Gimmick is so happy to soak this damage for his team. The Frostburn is applying. Red Horse looking for the Spitfires. Illis now doing what he can, but this looks horrible for Misfits. Tries to jump in with the ultimate. Here comes the Prime Directive. What can they do? Eco, oh, the reverse of judgment. It comes out and gets blocked by the Githian wall. Gimmick on fire right now. Quite literally though, Misfits are on fire as Scarf is running ragged, taking them down. And look at Zero, he's trying his best to push these turrets. He's trying his best to win the game from a backdoor. I don't know if he's going to have the time though, as it looks like TC are returning, and Zero tried in a valiant attempt, does get 2 turrets for his work, but he won't be able to get the Vein Crystal, and TC lose 2 turrets, but they could get Kraken and they could win the game from this.
They won't be able to win the game right off the back of this, but that is huge. Zero being able to take down those 2 turrets, that's a big call for them to have made in that situation, and it leaves the crystal exposed. There's not really any vision down as Gimmick is finally putting down a couple of scout traps just to spot someone coming, but Kraken's going to get taken extremely quickly thanks to Scarf and Sky. But one thing about that fight that I think is, it's one of those types of plays that goes really heavily unnoticed. Trust Reborn with the death from above. It didn't hit anybody, but it completely zoned Zero out of that fight. Zero was not able to be involved for the vast majority of that team fight initially, and that was a huge factor towards Team Classified being able to win that and not lose any members as a result. So they've got Kraken pushing in now. They'll be able to see if anyone tries to sneak out of their base. And this, if they can win another fight here, that's all that they need to close out game number 1. But it goes either way. Whoever, if either's team wins this team fight, they're very likely winning the game.
Yeah, if Misfits can survive this onslaught, they're going to go in. They don't give a crap about Kraken. They're going straight onto Trust Reborn. Another brilliant Githian Wolf, and Gimmick stops the Prime Directive too. This man is a god. Illis now the target, doesn't get his ultimate off. This is game for Team Classified. Misfits took a chance. They didn't take it, and now Team Classified are going to upset the scales of this game. Misfits have got to reset, but what a loss for them and what a win for Team Classified. Oh, I mean, you could talk about Red Horse and Trust Reborn on this Scarf, on this Sky, but Gimmick time and time again, these godlike Githian walls preventing anybody from getting onto his carries. He has been insane this match. What a bloody game, Tasty Bacon. What an insane 30-minute thriller that we had between these two, but it is Team Classified that pick up the win, and I bet Dragonborn is itching to get in on this conversation because that was a great game.
That's it. Just you got to throw everything that we thought we knew about how these teams are seeded. You know, we come in here and the seeding is really heavily focused on elo and team score, but man, double CP is something that, you know, first of all, they played it perfectly. They played heroes that scale really well into the late game with double CP. Scarf obviously being the best at it. And look at this, almost both teams with double Broken Myth, and then the sustain they had. There's so much shield on the side of Misfits, but it doesn't matter if you can't do the damage you need to do and make those team fights win. Those are long, grueling fights, but this is one that I think a lot of people are going to be watching and studying. What just happened here? Yesterday, NRG gets knocked out of the second round here into loser, and now Misfits loses game 1 to a 31 seed. Tasty, you got to help me here.
I mean, the level of competition. We've been talking about it every single season, and now apparently every single split. The level of competition seems to get better and better. And this is just another prime example of that. Team Classified. Again, it's early on, Misfits looked like they had it in the bag, but being able to play from behind is an extremely undervalued skill. It's obviously not a skill that you want to need to have, but you need to have it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a better skill, or it's easier to have that skill when you have a Scarf on your team, right, into the late game. And the death from aboves were incredible into the later half of that game. And Gemuk, man, this guy on the Lance.
The Lance play was
phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, he played out of his mind. We saw some really incredible Githian walls, some really clutch. We saw impales that landed right where the death from above was. This team was playing on all cylinders. They were coordinating their ultimates very well and placing them in positions that didn't necessarily need to hit, but locked Misfits in a very tight spot, in a compromising spot. I do like what Zero tried to do, making the best he could out of a bad situation by taking out the turrets, maybe hopefully triggering a base race of sorts. But oh my goodness, this is tough,
I think the only out Dragonborn was somehow to find a backdoor in that situation, which is why I thought it was good that Gwen had set it up. But the Kraken take and the positioning and the death timers just meant that they weren't able to set up for it, and they had to take that fight. Like they actually were going to lose if they let that Kraken head towards the Vein Crystal turrets. How quickly Scarf and Sky can take turrets as CP,
right.
they had to take that fight. But Gimmick, just an absolute god, as well as those death from above's insane. I mean, you could hear I was excited about it. He's played a blinder of a game.
I'll tell you, element of surprise, gentlemen, is something that works usually only once. And I gotta say, just the composition they went, double CP, it's not something you see pulled off very often at all anymore. So to see it come in there so well executed, really, I think surprises a lot. It actually opens up the draft here for Team Classified, right? Because now you really have no idea how they could go conventional, or they could try something off the wall like this.
Well, I mean, I imagine that you won't see Misfits fall for the same trick twice, like you said. Look, they definitely need to reset. That'll be a tough loss for them. They were the expected, they were the expected winners. They were seed 2 against seed 31. It's, like you said, it changes how we think about this seeding system if this kind of stuff can happen. This seems to be the curse of the high seeds this particular season of VIS, this split. All the high seeds have been struggling, and it definitely seems like it's turning into a bit of a cursed season, Dragonborn. I think we're all going to have to blame you for that one.
No. This is not on me. I'm blaming Hardek. This is his fault. I'm kidding.
Blame
of course.
Hardek, okay.
I'm kidding, of course. No, he's no, it's a joke. But no, I think what you guys nailed it, right? Is there's a lot of teams that have a lot of tools and resources they've never had before. You can go look at the compositions of the top players, you can learn from them, you can learn faster, and then you can also, because you already know, okay, here's what works, here's what teams are doing, you can actually innovate. And we saw this with Best Anime Girls. We saw support Grumpcha, we saw, the way they played was so unique, that for challenge battles especially, that we hadn't seen anything like it. They were innovating, at least for our eyes. And then now we see this Team Classified trying something that, they didn't invent double CP, and they didn't invent double. I remember seeing old school build to Broken Mist on it here a long time ago, but what they did do was they brought a composition that could play into it, and maybe a stroke of luck, maybe a planned stroke of genius, who knows. But we are going to get ready for game number 2 right now, guys, as we are about ready to jump into the draft.
Okay, we are. Looking forward to this next game. I think everybody, including chat, I know chat was super hyped behind the outcome of that game. I have to see if this can be a win for Team Classified. It would be a big upset. I don't think there's any other way of phrasing it. This would be a huge upset for them if they take this game away. Starting with the draft, and they're looking for their first ban to see what they decide to settle on. Misfits probably need to shake things up this time round. This is
Absolutely.
It's going to be I'm almost lost for words because I'm so sort of exasperated after that last game. Insane. It's going to be the Lyra band to start here. Misfits now looking to respond. Tasty Bacon, what do Misfits need to change up? Do they need to go late game? Do they think they can beat them on a late game basis? Or do they need to sort of stick to their guns and actually just capitalize on the early a bit more?
I think it's definitely a situation where they can still win with an early game composition. They just need to really push the issue. There were multiple times in that game where you thought maybe there was a chance for them to look for it. And I said they were playing very cautiously, and I liked it at the time, but they played a little bit too cautiously, a little bit too often. And with the lead that they had, maybe if they had pushed the issue a little bit more, they might have been able to pick up the win, but instead looks like they're going to go for a Finn, so already going to be at least a lot more durable than they were in game number 1.
They just need to pick up a Baron, right? Like, just stick a Baron on their lineup, give 0 Baron, go late game, can't lose. It seems good, man. We'll have to see whether this is going to be a CP cooldown glaive or whether we'll see a sort of weapon power glaive. Obviously, you can go either or depending on the composition that you want to pull out. But TC sticking to their guns. Celeste the first block in here. Let's see what they decide for their second block in. If this goes for another crystal power, looks like this could. I mean, we have seen weapon power alpha. Let's not completely count this out. If they lock in the alpha, there is some, I guess, remit for weapon power alpha to be played, but this could be a double CP composition coming again from Team Classified, and with the alpha lock-in, they very much could be up on the cards for these guys. But Gimmick's going to get his hands on his lance once more. Big pickup for him. And now we're looking at Misfits to see what they lock in. It's going to be the Scarf. Taking a leaf out of Team Classified's book is likely going to be the weapon power glaive from the jungle. And they have that sort of a late game orientated captain looking like Finn 2 here, Tasty Big.
Alright, so Misfits saying, well, if you can't beat it, pick it up for yourself. As they grab the Scarf and looking to give Team Classified a taste of their own medicine. We'll see if this looks like it could potentially be another double crystal competition for Team Classified, or will it be a weapon alpha?
I think that's what we're all expecting to find out as soon as we get into game. Obviously, I haven't seen too much weapon power alpha in competitive recently, but it definitely has merit, especially with core charge obviously coming off cooldown pretty quickly these days. You get a lot of core overload stacks from that. You can get a lot of sustain. It's going to start off with the weapon blade here. It doesn't tell you too much because obviously weapon blade good for clearing early jungle regardless, but you know, could spell out a potential weapon power alpha here. Tasty Bacon, we'll have to see. I think I'll be very interested to see if it is that particular build path, but it's obviously going to be likely a weapon power glaive here for Illist and Zero, probably heading towards that CP scarf.
And most likely going to be the case, but we'll have to see. You never really know until it actually starts up and we get a couple minutes in for these build paths. But Team Classified going very safe with their jungle, starting with all three members together, not even giving a thought to the Ancient Treant, and then rotating right up to the lane. So just want to make sure there's no early game shenanigans coming out of Misfits.
Wait a second, Eco's in lane by himself. They're funneling all of the early jungle farm onto Zero. They're trying to hyper farm this scarf here.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually something that we've seen. They are actually sharing the gold with Illist and Zero, but it's still getting as much gold as possible onto the two core heroes. Oh, maybe getting a catch.
They're going to be trying to get a catch here. They're going in onto the Celeste right now. She's level 1. She's starting to burn, but Illist is going to have to back off, and Gimmick, again, doing some defensive work for these guys. They're going to be back into lane now. Now Zero happily there, clearing waves with that goop.
Right, so the early start they were hoping to pick up there. Again, trying to just get Zero into that mid to late game as quickly as possible. Seems to be their target. We'll see if they continuously have Zero duck down into the jungle. Look for a little bit extra gold. Now maybe looking for Trust Reborn on this alpha. No, they're going to let him go. He's going to be able to recall.
Yeah, he recalls nice and safely. It's going to be Finn and Glaive now heading towards the back side of their jungle. Illist is going to pick up the doubles. Kind of resetting. Things kind of settling down now at this point. Zero just doing his best in Scarf on lane to farm up here. He's going to be slightly behind Red Horse, but not too far. He's going to be equaling that one out pretty readily. To start the Misfits again, they seem to have that early advantage. Just how they can capitalize on it here. It is looking like it's going to be a CP Alpha, by the way. The Weapon Blade was just there for early clear speed, as a Crystal Bit has come out now, so maybe working towards that Aftershock, and we might just see another double CP composition coming out for Team Classified this time around.
Yeah, very well could be. And again, still not 100% committed to a build path on Trust Reborn just yet. Trust Reborn, though, is looking to get committed to this fight. Realizes all of a sudden it's a 3-on-1 and quickly runs out of there. But nope, looks like I was going to say, is Team Classified going to try and rotate down for this? Instead, it will be the Ancient Treant going over to Misfits. And again, Misfits staying grouped up pretty consistently and just trying to stay clustered and make opportunities happen. As now they're going to look for Red Horse, but nice Helio. Spot them out.
Yeah, Gimmick's now going to be the target. He should go down, and it's going to be a kill on First Blood going over to Illist. It's the start that Misfits needed, but they need to capitalize on this. They need to keep pushing that advantage. Red Horse now a little bit low in lane. Zero doesn't have the energy to really do much about it, though, so he's just going to try and farm up as best as physically possible. Again,
Gimmick actually, even though Gimmick went down there, did actually save Red Horse's life. It was a Githian wall actually knocked Illist back as he started to charge in with an afterburn. And if that had gone through, you have to assume that would have hit Red Horse and maybe have even been a double kill. But Gimmick, again, with this lance, is just his timing is absolutely insane.
So I think we can fairly safely assume that this is going to be a CP Alpha committal here. Double CP again. Looks like they are fans of running that. It's going to be Illist now going toe-to-toe. Trust Reborn level 5 actually going to force the Afterburn away. And Illist being battled out. Illist has yet to shop, by the way. It's probably why he's struggling to duel against Alpha right now. He has got 2,400 gold in his back pocket. Can now go and capitalize and build towards whatever he chooses. It's going to be working towards that Sorrow Blade to start. So obviously it's going to be that straight-up weapon power glaive. And it looks like Zero now close to either his Frostburn or his Shatterglass. Although you would assume a Frostburn to deal with the Lance and the Alpha.
Yeah, most likely going to be the case, but we've seen players do things that we consider to be unconventional before. But right now, they are getting a lot of damage onto Gimmick. Missed that Impale, ends up paying for it. Red Horse, again, very likely going to be going down a similar build path as Zero. These two heroes end up with extremely similar, goals and objectives when it comes to team fights. So I wouldn't be too surprised if both of them go for Frostburns here.
Oh no, totally on board with that. They're trying to push the wave here, actually. Team Classified grouping up, trying to abuse that rotation, trying to get some damage onto this structure, but Misfits will respond fairly quickly. Trust Reborn goes in with the Prime Directive. He's now stuck in between a rock and a hard place, and it is Glaive who's going to pull the trigger on that one. They get her into the passive. Are they going to have enough damage to get her out, though? There's the Scout Trap as well. Don't think they're going to be able to capitalize on this. It's a long time to Afterburn once more. Eco not level 6. Unfortunately, Zero not quite on the same page as the rest of his teammates. Not able to land the goop and set the blaze, which would have really ended Alpha's life at that point in time. But it was a good fight for Misfits. It felt like they were potentially in a bad situation. Zero singled out by Alpha, but they managed to recuperate.
Definitely a good sign, at least 6 minutes in. They are going to be able to have a much stronger late game than they did in game number 1. Trust Reborn can take a lot of damage. Oh, Afterburn doesn't quite get the angle.
No, and Trust Reborn now nearly up with his passive again. Needs to be very careful with this. Oh, a nice block by Eco will stop that Prime Directive. Again, Zero nowhere to be seen. Misfits by themselves at this point in time. They are going to have to back off. Solar Storm doesn't quite find the executing blow, but it was the Fountain that really kept Illist in a healthy position there. Zero very reluctant to fight at this point in time. Has now got the Frostburn, picked up an energy Void Battery as well for the energy regeneration, so will be a little bit more durable, a little bit more longevity to his team fighting potential.
And not too surprising that Zero isn't chomping at the bit looking for fights. It is still a very early game, especially as far as Scarf is concerned, but this farming is starting to really pick up, and that's a good sign. Clearing out that wave actually got him right behind Red Horse now. It's starting to fall a little bit behind, but this is going to be first turret. That is a beautiful rotation from Misfits, just taking advantage of the movements from Team Classified to try and get into the jungle and put a little bit extra gold onto Red Horse. As a result, they take first turret.
If you leave a Scarf in lane and don't protect that turret, that is going to go down super quickly. Goop, when you set it on fire, is monstrous as a turret taking capability, and you saw right there Misfits took that opportunity, get that first turret of the game, put themselves into a small gold lead. They actually have the late game to back up this early game lead that they've accrued as well. Scarf, realistically in the late game, can do some serious solo carrying, and they're going to take the gold mine too. Global objectives, dragons eat them for breakfast, my friend.
That is definitely a breakfast that Scarf is going to be happy to have. Getting that first turret down, a little bit extra gold, gets about a 2,000 gold lead for Misfits, but they definitely cannot be comfortable with this lead, because that's what they had for actually they had even larger than that for a good portion of game number 1, and were not able to close it out. I feel like they might have a little bit of a better composition this time for going into the late game and trying to find these team fights, but you never know. This double crystal, it worked once for them. Will they be able to find lightning twice on Team Classified and knock Misfits into the losers bracket this early in the tournament?
I don't think that the Alpha Celeste combo has the same kind of late game prowess that the Sky Scarf did. You saw how little Alpha could do in certain situations for Misfits last game. I think, you know, I don't think it's going to have the same level of impact. You have an answer from Misfits this time around. Misfits didn't really have the best late game composition in the world last time, so they didn't really manage to get much work done with it. Gimmick doing his best to defend the turret, but look how much damage that goop does. You know, give one goop over to a turret and it just chunks away that HP. Misfits just looking for these opportunities to siege.
And as far as the late game is concerned, though, I do have a little bit of caution just in the fact that Misfits don't seem to be prioritizing shield once again.
Yeah.
And
well, they prioritized a lot of shield last time, but I think they prioritized too much shield. I think they gave too much respect early on, and then they just didn't have the damage to win team fights outright. But I agree. I would like to see a little bit more shield than there currently is.
Yeah.
I think some tier 2 shields coming out soon, but you can see Zero's working towards an Aegis, as is Illist, so they'll get there eventually.
I think the tier 2 shield is just the most important one to get. Sweet Generous talks about it all the time next to me on the desk that getting just the tier 2 defensive item, it's almost about a 45 to 50% damage reduction just by picking up that one tier 2 item. So definitely should be picked up soon from Zero if these team fights are going to start breaking out. As we hit the 10-minute mark, this is when we kind of do start to see, you know, team fights a little bit more often. You got level 8 on Red Horse, so it's going to have that extra range on the Heliogenesis, and so this could be an opportunity for Team Classified to maybe try and get some ground back in this game number 2.
Haven't seen too many forced accord plays either. Just kind of keeping their range for Zero. I think they'll be using that more defensively than offensively. You don't really want to pull a Lance and an Alpha towards your carry, although you do want to pull a Celestine. She gets absolutely battered, and Zero with that Dragon's Breath is going to get so much work done. Eco taking a lot of damage here. Trust Reborn going in. He's getting work done himself, but will get procced into that ultimate. It's the second time that he hasn't used his ultimate to save that passive, and now Gimmick will get burnt and sliced and diced by this glaive, and now Trust Reborn has to do work by himself. A good Prime Directive could save the day here. He could actually take this 2 versus 1. He will actually be forced to... Oh, no, he gets the kill, and oh, a brilliant... Oh, what an afterburn! What an afterburn from Illist. Stops the Prime Directive animation, and the turret does the rest of the work. Insane play from Misfits, but... it should have been a more dominant victory in that team fight, you think? They did go a little bit overextended and let Alpha do too much work.
Alpha very nearly turning that around. Absolutely clutch afterburn from Illist. Maybe a little bit salty if I'm Illist there that Zero actually gets credit for the kill because of the burning damage. But still, you got to be just... that was a phenomenal play. That's one of those plays that can really swing the momentum heavily in favor of your team. If you're Misfits, just really get the mental aspect of the game going back in your favor and bring the morale up as a whole.
Absolutely. Those sort of individual mechanical plays, those little wins can be so beneficial. Get your team hyped. You're like, oh my god, what a play! You know, can't believe we got away with that. It'll be really, really good for them as a team. They look to be more aggressive. Now Gimmick rolls into danger, rolls past the Misfits squad, and I don't think they're going to be able to chase him down here. I think he's going to get away absolutely scot-free. Zero has something to say about that though, but Gimmick kind of in a safe situation right now. I think Misfits maybe could have just capitalized by going for that gold mine. Might be able to turn things around now.
Eco may have lost the cord, didn't reach.
Zero just went a little bit ham there. Maybe not the best idea, but did force Red Horse into a situation where he had to stand on the goop. So a lot of damage done over to the Celeste. And now, come on guys, full gold mine. Zero's not interested though. Zero versus the world. We'll now start.
Zero's just keeping them at bay, making it so that they won't have a chance to come and steal this away. There's plenty of damage on Illist and Eco, and then when Zero does come over, they just easily secure that one up. 300 gold each. There's the Solar Storm coming through a touch late. So 4-2 on the kills, but it's a 3,000 gold lead now for Misfits, and the Scarf starting to get to the point where it is turning online, doing a ton of damage. You saw how much damage it did to Red Horse there, as you had mentioned, Scoundrel, and that's something that Team Classified is going to have to be very wary of when they do decide to try and go for engagements.
I'm just laughing at chat taking the nick out of my accent. Love you too, chat. Anyway, Misfits now. Feeling like they're fairly commanded, but again, the gold lead is not huge. It's not a huge gold lead for these guys. They haven't really been as dominant as we saw Necrolite be in their game, even when Necrolite kind of picked a as I said, quirky, but I think most people would call troll composition. Misfits, you do feel like it's kind of edgy. I never feel super confident when I see Misfits play, or especially in these two games. I don't feel like I'm absolutely certain that they're going to win like I do with some teams. It feels very on the edge for me, and I don't think that's what Misfits should be like going up against this kind of level of seed.
It really isn't, but at the same time, you know, we've seen some lower seeds really bring the fight to these higher seeds, and that's what Team Classified is doing here. They're looking to make a name for themselves, looking to show that they maybe should be a higher seed, but they have to get through these actual higher seeds if they want to do that. Nice job by Misfits just brute forcing that turret down, not really taking any damage in exchange.
You can kind of do that though, because if they can stop Gimmick from getting the engages, they might be able to just do this consistently. They're going in again. Red Horse takes so much damage. Look at the afterburn. Look at the Dragon's Breath. That is a dead Celeste. And now it's all up to Alpha once more. They do root up the Scarf. That's a lot of damage, but the sustain is starting to come through, and now Trust Reborn will reboot. Can he find the engages that he needs? Illust has been untouched at this point in time, and is the Crystal Sentry going to ward Misfits away? Oh! What an amazing Prime Directive. Picks off the Dragon in the backline, and now it's Misfits on the back foot. Trust Reborn has been monstrous on this robot, and now Misfits will back off 2 prehistoric creatures this time, making their way back towards base. That looked so good for Misfits, but Trust Reborn, great ultimate, great Prime Directives, finds the saving graces. Finds the saving graces for Team... just completely blank because it's so late. Team Classified, there you go.
Cheeky little Solar Storm getting thrown out the end there, looking to catch anyone, but not going to be connecting. But you said it, Trust Reborn on this alpha has been absolutely making plays thus far. 3 to 5, 15 minutes and 50 seconds into this game now. And Kraken looming over the Halcyon Fold. There's still no turret damage even been done, really, by the side of Team Classified, and that's a cause for concern as this game continues to go on. But if they can just find fights, and they can pick up those turrets, and pick up some objectives, get the Kraken, make some magic happen, you never know.
Looks like Eco just trying to take that front line. Misfits again, shoving waves. They've kind of been doing this over and over again. Shove those waves in, look for a siege opportunity, look to try and pick Celeste off where they can. Start to worry about Trust Reborn though. He's looking pretty beefy. Got an infusion to boot as well. It's a lot of damage coming out from him right now. And Alpha, has been a real problem for Misfits. They haven't been as decisive in these team fights as they would have wanted to. Here comes Team Classified though. The infusion has been procced. Alpha looking for an opportunity to engage, but they're going to back off and clear that wave.
Alright, so we get deeper into this one. Misfits just seem to have better rotations this game than Team Classified, as they are now onto the Kraken. This could be risky. They're going to get spotted out here, but do they have enough time on Trust Reborn?
They don't get the steal. Here comes the ultimate from Celeste, and now Trust Reborn going, and he's got the ultimate. He's going to proc it, and now it's up to Scarf. They do manage to take her into the passive, but Celeste is here. Red Horse is here, but Alpha, the problem child, has been dealt with, and now Red Horse is the target. There's the block on the Quibble, but she turns around to use the Heliogenesis. That was a mistake, and Misfits clean at the fight. Finally, something goes their way, and just for chat's sake, what an afterburn! What an afterburn, mate.
Well, that is going to be very likely the game, with Kraken making her way into the base. She's going to have full health because these turrets are going down quickly. There will be respawns here for Team Classified, but this is a dire situation.
Yeah, it looks like Trust Reborn versus the world, and the world is a tough place, Trust Reborn, and I don't think you found the outcome that you wanted. Red Horse now pops that reflex block, gets punted back into the fountain, but Misfits will clean up the fight. 18 minutes, 12 minutes shorter than the last game, and Misfits seems to have found their groove once more. Team Classified were on the edge of a miracle, but Misfits themselves pulled one out the bag, and they're going to find themselves back in a position where they're level footing, going into a final game with the momentum. We could see the outcome that we expected. Dragonborn, this was a little bit more what we were expecting to see when this series started.
Absolutely. And I think Misfits not disrespecting the team until late game like they did before, but also having a Scarf. It really wasn't, I mean, it was kind of surprising to see some of the struggles for Misfits in the early game, because clearly Team Classified is performing much better than I think Misfits was prepared for. But the Scarf, it takes a little bit of time to turn on. It takes a little bit of time to get to that point where you can comfortably dish out the damage. We saw how much damage Scarf was putting out there. Red Horse, you know, once one of these heroes got hit early with the Scarf, Spitfire, it was easy for Zero to start to bring them down to pretty low health there, and a lot of surprises here. I mean, again, both alphas. Actually surprising alpha in this series, 100% loss rate. I can't say I was expecting to say that, or that would be the outcome, but really what you're seeing there is Misfits really being more respectful. When they had an early lead last game, they felt like, oh, we got this is a low seed team, this is easy, and definitely underestimated the potential from Team Classified. This time around, they played their cards correctly. You never saw this over aggressiveness from Misfits. This time, playing their composition more appropriately with a fin and a Scarf. So that being said, they played really good. They had their win, 9-3, didn't lose a single turret. I think that's really important to note. You go a game without losing a turret, you definitely played a game, I would say, very solid.
Yeah, they definitely steadied the ship, as you would say.
And that's impressive, because it's easy to tilt in a game like that, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, after that first game, you saw community, Twitch chat especially, they were like, lull, Misfits, lull. Misfits must have found that difficult, to be in that situation. They managed to get back on the horse and find their way into a victory and level this series up. That's great for them, though, right? I mean, it's got to feel good to sort of turn things around in the face of that kind of diversity.
Absolutely. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon for these teams. I think what happened is a lot of teams are pretty skeptical when a team gets 1-0 on the first game of the series. Oh no, it's just a game, maybe just a fluke. But yesterday, I think, set a precedent for upsets that maybe has altered the community and the Twitch chat as a whole as what's possible, because a lot of things that were probably not considered possible, as in Enforcers also losing one of their games. A lot of stuff happened yesterday that really shook, I think, the competitive community on what was really possible happening here. So we're going to take a quick break, everybody, because the players need a little bit of time to get ready for this game number 3. They need a breather. We're going to give it to them and to our casters as well. But when we come back, the most anticipated game 3, at least of tonight, is going to be taking place. You're not going to want to miss it. See you in a sec.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All right, everybody, we are back, getting ready for this game number 3. It is a really surprisingly contested match, Team Classified versus Misfits, here in the winners round 2. Let's take a look again at the rosters as we get ready to jump into the draft. And I want to kick it over to you, Tasty, real quick. You've been a little quiet as far as what does Classified need to do to win this? We've seen kind of their first game of how successful that was. I don't think Misfits is going to let them back into that exact kind of situation. So what does Classified need to do? And then flip side, I really want Scoundrel, tell me what Misfits needs to do to clean up this series and end it.
just more of the same. Like give yourself a late game out. They get this early game, they get a small advantage, but they never feel like they're actually capitalizing on it a huge amount. Not like we saw Necrolite do, for instance. So if you give yourself a late game out, the team fight prowess that we sometimes, can see Misfits achieve starts to come through. You had that out of the Scarf, really did a huge amount of damage with the Siege, huge amount of damage in terms of dealing with sort of the late game team fights that they had to go up against. So I think it's perfectly fine to just play a longer game against Team Classified. They're not a team that you can sniff at. This is not a team that should be sort of brushed aside, like you said, disrespected.
Yeah, and Tasty.
I think. Oh. No, carry on.
Yeah, and so Classified, Tasty. What does Classified need to do? I think that they're in a great spot. I think this is the best spot they could possibly have hoped for, but I don't think they're going to be underestimated again.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a situation where I think they're going to have to change things up from game number 2. Obviously, game 1, they had that surprise factor, but like you mentioned, Dragonborn, the surprise factor usually only works once, and now they're going to have to try and figure out what they want to do. I don't know if the double crystal is going to be a right decision if they do decide to go for that again, but if they can get the Lance, although it looks like that's going to get banned away, so already Misfits going to force a Team Classified to have to change things up a bit.
Yeah, I think obviously you're putting now Gimmick onto something a little bit more off color for him. You don't know what his hero pool is like, but we've seen him play some pretty good Lance so far. Adagio going to be prioritized by Misfits here. Now let's see what Team Classified respond with. It's going to be Lyra. Seems the obvious choice here. Obviously with Lyra being open. Seems like a pretty good shot. Scarf? Wow. I mean, this is the first series I've seen Scarf really become a priority, and it is going to be Team Classified taking that away early. Now maybe in second pick, follow up with this Lyra. We'll have to see what they decide. Seems, like I said, seems like the obvious choice. Will be the obvious choice. They lock it in, and now Misfits have their own late game or early game to capitalize on.
All right, so late game Scarf. It's been the key to this series thus far. We'll see if it'll work wonders again for Team Classified. Each team has their own healer, so we'll see how they decide to deal with it. But Flicker, gonna be that combo, and this is extremely similar to what we saw being run in our first series of the day, just swapping out the Krull for a Rona this time on the side of Misfits.
Yeah, it's going to be the Rona and the Flicker here, so they are doing that sort of Necrolite tactic of just being able to capitalize early on. CP Adagio in lane does give them a small amount of late game as well. Small amount, still a pretty decent late game. And it's going to be super aggressive. Going to be finished up with a Black Feather here, Tasty Bacon. Team Classified and Misfits compositions locked in. How do you feel about both of these?
They've both got really strong utility. They both have a lot of healing. They both have a weapon power carry that can go early on into a poison shiv. I think that's going to be incredibly important in this game because, again, both teams do have that healing aspect of their composition. So this ought to be a really good one. This is going to be really the best team will be able to take this out because both of these compositions are extremely similar.
A lot of early game pressure though for the Flicker, but against the Lyra, might find it difficult to impact lane as much. We'll have to see. It is going to be Scarf's pretty safe, can sort of clear waves from afar. Misfits have got the pressure on their heads, you see. They have to be the ones to. I guess they're expected to be the wins. So they have more pressure on their shoulders, and that kind of means a little bit in these kind of series. For Team Classified, they were the underdogs, so if they win, it's a surprise and sort of a nice surprise. If they lose, they kind of expected it in some ways.
So we're going to get a brief pause here at the start of the game, as looks like it is Trust Reborn that hasn't been able to leave the base just yet, so hopefully that will be sorted out shortly and won't be something that has a long-term effect on this game.
Yeah, we can hope so. I mean, let's have a little recap of what we're expecting to see here, Tasty Bacon. Obviously, we expect what am I talking about? Obviously, we expect Flicker and Rona to be super impactful in the laning phase, obviously trying to put as much pressure onto Scarf as possible. But, imagine Gimmick could be sitting there babysitting with that Bright Bulwark, just stopping any kind of potential shenanigans happening. Obviously, you've got great Gift of Fire delivery system with the Rona as well, and the Flicker. Get into position, big Gift of Fire can start to have a huge impact on team fights. We are back into the game, unpause has happened. and it is going to be Trust Reborn. He's here. He's on the Halcyon Fold.
Always good to see. But, you never want to see a game 3 like this decided by a disconnect, but whoa, action starting immediately.
Action started immediately as Lyra going down. Misfits are not messing around at the start of this series, and Rona heading towards the backs. Has free reign of all of them, and looks like Blackfeather's trying to make a sneaky move towards the backs potentially of Misfits. Is he going to get spotted out here? That's the question. Illist there. Now Trust Reborn trying to make a sneaky James Bond move across the field. Looks like Flicker's heading to the backs themselves. Is Trust Reborn even going to get something here? Needs to have a look at the need to have a look at Rona as well, who looks like she's dueling against Gimmick, but that will end in its tracks. And actually, look at this. We need to be playing some Mission Impossible music here, because Trust Reborn has snuck across the map and made it to the backs of Misfits. What a little bit of spy play coming out from him. Undetected. Brilliant.
Yeah, undetected, gonna be able to clear out. Looks like he's just gonna take the double backs and then recall, not wanting to chance going for anything further. Zero is actually gonna be looking for anything in the team classified jungle, but won't be finding any camps there. He's going to get spotted by a scout trap, though, so they know that he's here.
Yeah, I was going to say, just walked over the scout trap. Zero, super aggressive, maybe caught in a potentially awkward situation. Gimmick the target, the slow comes through. Zero doing some work, will have that bounce and actually gets the kill. And now they're going to capitalize with Trust Reborn only being level 1. Into the fray comes down. Trust Reborn's fortified health not going to do enough. And it's a double kill for Rona. Is it going to be a triple? Looking to put pressure onto Scarf here, but Zero should back off, I think, at this point. He's actually getting kited fairly easily. Does he have Into the Fray? Almost going to go in. Actually gets the triple kill. Oh, baby. An early triple for Zero. But the scout trap actually does some work and gets a return kill for Gimmick on this Lyra.
Oh, and now with the slow, maybe going to try to go for Zero, but nope. Trust Reborn says, you know what? I've had enough with early game fighting. I want to just make sure I actually get my farm. And 4 kills to 1, though, in the first 2.5 minutes. Definitely another good start for the side of Misfits. And one that they're going to be very happy to have. Against a Scarf, you want to make sure you get an early lead. Because, again, if you go too long without having one, Scarf can turn the game around very easily.
Absolutely, you need to put pressure on this Scarf, and kind of what Flicker is designed to do, but a lot of investment in vision control here for Gimmick as well, getting some key scout traps in situations. So here we go. It's actually Trust Reborn that's become the target for both Eco and Zero. They're going to go for this central Elder Treant. Zero goes in, hasn't actually shopped yet though, so hasn't able to capitalize on the gold that he's built up so far. That could be a mistake to continue the aggression, because he doesn't really have a huge level advantage either, so kind of just baiting into potentially losing fights at this point. But here comes Flicker once more. They aren't going to get the Elder Treant. They are going to still continue to go in. Trust Reborn actually getting the regeneration here. Illist with very little energy. I think Misfits need to back off at this point in time.
It looks like that's exactly what they're going to be doing, as Team Classified looks for a little bit extra damage on the tail end of that, but everyone will be getting out of here alive. The farm does go over, as you mentioned, Scoundrel, to Team Classified, though. And they're going to start giving a double gold to the carries here, as Red Horse is down in the jungle with Trust Reborn. And I'm always a fan of seeing teams go for the strategy, just trying to get as much gold onto your core heroes as you can. You know, 1 or 2 rotations isn't really going to make much of an impact, but if you do it consistently, you can really accelerate your item progression on these heroes.
Looks like Flicker again looking to just keep tabs on Team Classified. There's the scout trap. Will get cleared out immediately, but they'll know that Flicker is there now, so we'll aim to work a bit more carefully. Zero now has got that items that he needs to start putting on pressure in the jungle. He's got the heavy steel, got the beginnings of a Serpent's Mask, and he's going to start to jump in here. Into the fray has popped so much damage coming out onto Lyra. That is a huge amount of work, and Zero picks up a kill for his troubles, and now Crystal Sentry will be the target. I don't think they can take it though, as Trust Reborn starts to jump in, and actually, like bodyguards, Team Classified will protect their Crystal Sentry, and they will clear some vision actually for Misfits on the way out. That'll be good for the Flicker.
Alright, so with that kill coming through, actually, are they going to go for Red Horse here? With the Flicker going invisible, still going to have a good amount of damage. Not quite enough for a kill, but with Trust Reborn coming through, are they going to look for this? These two teams very much at each other's throats here in the first few minutes of the game. It's just been Misfits that have been able to consistently be the ones to actually find the kills.
Zero's going to get this regeneration camp. They may look to fight again. Here comes Eco. He could jump over the wall if they get that stun off. It does get Rabin the root. One final attack from Rona. She waltzes in, slams the axe, picks up the kill. And Misfits again, 6-1 right now. They are not messing around in this third of the best of 3. They want to win. They want to go through. They need to beat this 31st seed to retain their streak in VIS64. They need to make it a safe route to those challenge battles, and it looks like they are playing with every intent to do so.
And again, just fighting for pride too at this point. No one wants to be, the number 2 seed that loses to a 30+ seeded team, as we've seen how brutal this community can be to the higher seeded teams that do fall to.
It's all banter, mate. It's all banter.
It's banter, but it's pretty harsh banter at times. But you still don't want to be on the receiving end of it. Either it's all in good fun or not. If you can avoid it, that's always a preferential path.
Mate, can't take the heat. Get out of the Halcyon themed kitchen. You know
or
what I'm
just
saying?
win your games and you don't have to deal with anything.
Exactly. Anyway, Misfits right now look like they're in a small command at this point in time. They're going to get a small gold lead from that turret take. Good early rotations for them. They've got that gold mine to think about too, but pressure from Eco on this flicker has been good, and I think they needed that. They needed to get off to a good flying start here. Alternating current has been finished. We're working towards a broken myth as well for Illist. Item spike starting to be landed. The Serpent's Mask is there for Zero. This is a good start. Good start for these guys.
Yeah, definitely a good start for them. We'll see where they end up going with it, as they've got themselves about a 3,000 gold lead, just about, and continuing this pressure with that first turret down. They can be even more aggressive. I want to take a look at the items really quick. It does look like, Zero has the Serpent Mask. Trust Reborn could go for either a Serpent Mask or a Poison Shiv or a Breaking Point, depending on what he feels like.
I think Breaking Point's still pretty good for Rona.
I don't know if it's. I don't know about first item. I think getting a little bit more sustained, getting that either the Poison Shiv or the Serpent's Mask is probably going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I suppose how worried are you about Gimmick's healing, I guess is the question. Definitely think that Poison Shift could be a real option here for Zero. Again, pushes the advantage right at the start of the fight as well. So yeah, definitely. I see your reasoning there, Tasty Bacon. You have bested me with reasoning.
It's such a good item against healers in general, like against Lyra or Adagio. And not only that, but you're also against a melee carry that's going to be looking to sustain through fights with lifesteal. Just having the Poison Shiv becomes almost integral to being able to for what you're trying to do. It does look like Zero is going to go towards the breaking point. Trust Reborn, we're about to find out what Trust Reborn is going to pick up. And it is the Serpent's Mask. Okay, so both of these two feeling confident in their own abilities and their own healer, that they will be able to out-sustain their opponent without the mortal wounds coming through. Although, to be fair, Zero does have mortal wounds built into the kit.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you don't necessarily need the Poison Shiv in that kind of sense, but I think just more flat-out damage, pretty solid for him. Can be perfectly acceptable. Working towards either, it still could be a Poison Shiv or, actually, no, it can't. No, that's a lie. I take that back. It's going to be a breaking point. I retract my previous statement, Tasty Bacon, and I firmly place my bets in the breaking point.
Well, I assume that's where it's going to be as well, but here comes the Flicker Ultimate.
The Scout Traps will pop them out. Gimmick actually taken by surprise. Arcane Portal is out and will be able to get to the safety of the turret. Look at that damage coming through from Zero right now, but Scarf looking to ward away with the Dragon's Breath. This is going to be a fountain coming out from Misfits, but they're just doing so much damage. Very hard to retaliate right now for Team Classified. And it will just be the Crystal Sentry as bounty for Misfits. Very close to being a commanding win for them, but unfortunately, it didn't quite get the damage down to Gimmick, and great reactions for him to portal out.
Yeah, very quick reactions, almost surprising. Typically, one of the reasons you don't see players normally just standing still when they're waiting for last hits and stuff like that is so that you are actively tapping so that you can react a little bit quicker. But to go from a complete standstill and all of a sudden being jumped on by all three opponents, very quick reactions needed, and that is exactly what Kamuk was able to do. He gets out to safety, but with that sentry going down and still pressure being applied by Misfits, they are not out of the water just yet. They're still behind, but they do have the Scarf, and that is the great equalizer once we get to about the 18-minute mark or so.
Yeah, once Scarf hits those 3 items, gets that Eve of Harvest, maybe there is more opportunity for them to feel a little bit more settled in these team fights. Again, Vision coming out hard and fast right now, working for a contraption as well to continue to keep up those scout traps. They will spot out Eco, who will clear up that mine. That is one of the main things that you need to do, and you can see probably the best counter to a contraption is a contraption of your own. And maybe Eco will be considering that. Depends on how much of an issue these scout traps start to become. Actually, looks like the sentry gets defeated again. 1 final life remaining. Frostburn providing a bit of an issue for Zero, though. He hasn't quite found the engages that he wants, and is taking a lot of damage from that Scarf now. It's starting to ramp up in terms of output.
That absolutely is. Zero on this Rona is definitely starting to ramp up in terms of damage. Has enough gold to go and finish off this breaking point, assuming that's where the build path is going, which both of us are in agreement that we're pretty sure that's where it's going to go. But here comes Eco. Actually puts a little bit of damage onto the turret. As you can see, they were really trying to just prioritize these objectives and really try and focus on the structures and taking them off the map. And it's a good strategy. It's how you win the game. It forces your opponents back even further, allows you to maintain this vision control that Misfits have at the moment. You can see a lot of scout traps in the jungle, at least about halfway through this jungle. Pretty much belongs to Misfits.
Yeah, Misfits now working towards the backs. Red Horse will actually force them away. Slows come through. Zero has popped up that red mist. He's starting to do some serious damage to Blackfeather on the front line. Crystal Sentry, 1 life remaining, bro, and he's walking straight into the midst of death, because Misfits are going to wipe him off the face of the Halcyon Fold. That is the last remaining life for the Sentry. Misfits now have no worries being in the enemy side jungle. And Tasty Bacon did slam down some wisdom just before that fight broke out. Taking turrets wins you the game. Who'd have thought, bro?
Yeah, well, it's a fact of life on the Halcyon Fold.
But life in general, like life. Do you know, in England, it's go back in some histories. It's a history lesson.
Oh boy.
You know, when you're sieging the castles, there's an English baron taking out the turrets, bro. That's where it's at. You know, take out those turrets and get towards the English castle Vein Crystal, which is like the keep.
So just in case you ever find yourself in an 18th century English castle siege, now you know what to do.
It happens all the time, Tasty. Like, I'm not gonna lie. One day, sometimes I just wake up and find myself commanding the vanguard to an English castle siege. Like that just happens. You need to be prepared for that kind of situation, Tasty Bacon. And when I play Vainglory, I am super prepared to wake up in 1842, probably earlier than that, 1622, and siege some bloody castles. You know, Vainglory prepares me for that.
All right, life lessons from Vainglory, if you happened to be around before phones were even a thing. Either way, we've got a 6-1.
As you can tell, it is nearly 4 o'clock in the morning in England, and Excoundrel is getting delirious.
I thought this was just normal Excoundrel. I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, I put on this facade on my YouTube and Vainglory 8 where everyone thinks I'm super normal. But actually, I'm just not normal at all.
All right, well, 6-1 for Misfits. The kills have definitely fallen off in terms of pace and how quickly those are coming out, but they are still keeping the pressure on. Thought about going after Gimmick there, but Gimmick not going to be allowing the opportunity. Zero just stealing away this jungle, constantly can do so without much worry, as there is no longer a Crystal Sentry, and actually going to start jumping in. Rest of the team definitely not ready to follow it up, but it looks like Team Classified, they want to just keep waiting and keep letting the Scarf and Blackfeather build up, mainly the Blackfeather, as he's still sitting on just a single offensive item. They really want to get a second one completed onto him before they go looking for fights. Red Horse has 3 completed, so he's actually going to be pretty good at this stage, but we're nearing that 15-minute mark. Kraken's going to be making her way onto the fold, and this is where Misfits can look to really turn it on.
Misfits are going to just start farming up again. Again, you hit a big item spike for Adagio. He's got his 3 items. Scarf has also got his. When are Misfits going to pull the trigger? When are Misfits going to say, okay, we're going to slam down the gauntlet, we're going to start to fight, we're going to actually look to win this game? Because they've been stalling for a long time, but not really stalling for anything in particular. Clearing out vision, though, you can see that. Where are we expecting? Is the Kraken going to be the big turning point, you think, here?
It could be. I mean, Kraken going either way could be very decisive in this game. Very defensive arcane passage from Gimlook there. Was getting up to safety, but that's going to be Kraken getting started off. I think that flare spotted it, but even if it didn't, they're going to know something's up now. But Zero just single-handedly keeping the enemy at bay. However, here we go. This could be big. Where's Scarf?
Where is Scarf? He's there in the back line. Where's Illist, however? As it actually going to be, again, Lyra losing her life, and now Team Classified are backing through the jungle. No retreat of the sentry there, and Trust Reborn has to pop his boots, but it looks like Misfits are hunting for blood, and Team Classified have bounties of it. Look at all those scout traps, though. This is a huge amount of scout traps in this red side jungle for Team Classified. And Misfits are now going to back off. Maybe look to take out the Kraken. They're going to jump in onto Scarf again. Here goes Zero. There's the Gift of Fire. Really huge amounts of damage pummeling down. Dragon's Breath won't save him with that Eve of Harvest. And now, Trust Reborn is the final target. Can Misfits get the kill and take the Kraken? It won't be an ace, as Gimmick has respawned, but it's going to be very, very difficult, I think, for Trust Reborn to survive. There he goes down. Misfits take the Kraken, hopefully. And this could be them trying to seal this game out.
Yeah, it would. Even if Gimlook is able to get in there and try and steal this away, it would just be delaying things at this point because Misfits have been in control. Eco is going to be trying to keep Gimlook at bay. Portal in.
Portal in again, and it's not quite able to take the steal. And Gimmick backs off here. He could be paying with his life, however, as Illis jumps in and gets that Frostburn proc with the Gift of Fire. Those basic attacks as well, slowing him down. Misfits looking to win this out as they should have done a long time ago. They're going to stealth in. The scout traps are going to find them. There are so many scout traps all over the place, and unfortunately the stealth not going to be quite as much use as you hope to be. Wait for the Kraken though, and they should be able to siege onto this turret.
They're actually getting some good damage on the turret just because of the minions that were there. The turret's going to fall before Kraken even gets here, and now they can use Kraken to try and end the game. Team Classified, this is their last ditch effort, their last attempt. If they don't stop Misfits here, then they will be getting knocked down into loser bracket. At least they won't be eliminated from challengers. It is a double elimination format, but getting a game off of Misfits, got to give them a little bit of pride as they very likely are going to end. Oh, that root. Oh, that root was so nasty, but this could be the end of the game here.
They jump back in. Kraken's still alive, doing work. Red Horse does back off to the turret. Here they go. They've got just the Vein Crystal to go down, but Zero in the backline focusing Gimmick. This should be easily the game as Illis pummels away with those Adagio basic attacks, and the Vein Crystal goes down. Misfits 2-1 in face of adversity find themselves through in this bracket stage. What a game for them. They needed this win, and they take it finally, finding some success in this series. What an insane best of three that we had here. Team Classified in that 30-minute thriller, but Misfits pull up their socks, they pull up their trousers, and they put themselves on the winning podium once again. The 2-1 victory, definitely what we expected to be a potential 2-0. I gotta say, well done to Misfits for coming back, because it must have been very hard after that first game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, maybe just not taking their opponents quite as seriously as they need to. Maybe just getting caught off guard by the double crystal power. Who knows what it was? Either way, Team Classified can still hold their heads high as they go down into losers bracket, having taken a game off of the number 2 seed. See how far they can make their run in the challengers down in the losers bracket. But Misfits will be moving on, and if you can keep winning, your 4 wins, I believe, is what you need in a row, and you will end up in the playoffs for VIS. So they are well on their way now, getting halfway there.
And Dragonborn should be able to come and chime in here from the sidelines. It's a series that we expected Misfits to win, and they did finally pull it out, but it was a tough one. It really was a tough victory for them.
Yeah, you know, they just had to make certain adjustments. Yeah, so, you know, banning Lance, of course, definitely helped. But, you know, the thing here was, I think Misfits, you know, they had an early lead, and they were over-aggressive at certain points in the game. They didn't respect Team Classified enough. I think Team Classified definitely showing that they can perform better, even in this game. I mean, Misfits could not overextend at all. They had to play very, very cautiously because that Scarf could easily surprise you, and they did. Misfits played the way you would expect a C2 to play against a team that's, you know, obviously a contender to them, and I really think we should keep an eye on Team Classified, how they're going to play through the loser bracket, because this is a team that's, I think, is going to continue to maybe upset a few other teams down there, and when we get into elimination time. But for right now, Misfits moves on. They are safe, they are clear, but no longer do they have 0 losses in this series. Or in the split, anyways.
Yeah, but you know, win's a win at the end of the day. You know, if you whatever gets you through the winners bracket, dude. I think that's kind of how we sort of will phrase it from this point onwards. Misfits had a tough series, but they made it.
Well, I don't know for yeah, I don't know for sure, but I have a suspicion that Zero's name is somewhat related to their 0 loss split last challengers when they made it into Vainglory 8. So
maybe he changed his name to One now.
Yeah, he's gonna change it to what? The One.
XL does like changing names, so he can now change it to One.
I think the One is appropriate. I think so. All right, guys.
I just like One.
just one. No the.
Just one.
All right. You know what? We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna get ready for our third and final series of the night, as it is getting pretty late here at the VIS desk. But we do have a whole nother series of games, exciting ones hopefully at that, as we are actually going to jump down to the elimination round. So guys, this is going to be kind of exciting. We're going to jump down. We're going to be actually seeing some of the first couple teams get eliminated here in VIS in just a few moments, right after the break.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
And we're ready, back and ready to go. This is VIS64 for everyone joining us again. Thanks for sticking with us during that short break. But we are ready to get into our third series of tonight. And guys, we have a little bit of a treat. You know, we're going to be jumping down and actually watching a team get eliminated here in the elimination round. So, you know, someone's going to be moving on and somebody is going to not. That is how it works. All right, let's take a look, guys. Well, the thing is,
I wasn't aware of that, Dragon.
All right.
Someone will move on and someone won't.
All right, so we just got off the winners bracket. We ended a fantastic series. I don't know if this series is going to be as exciting, but there is some cool things to talk about here. Here are the teams. It's got it's actually L Assault Team L, so those are L's in between there. Super troll. And then Team Palace. We were talking about castles. Well, this is a palace. And it's a 22nd seed versus a 54 seed, but I'm going to have to go all the way back into the memory of Tasty Bacon to talk about one of the players on this team, on this 54 seed team, is Victrix Mortalis. And he is a player that used to play, made it pretty far up in some previous challenges, way back, actually season 1 of the competitive season, a long time ago. Not season 1, sorry. I think it was winter season, and then also spring season. He was a player playing around back then. Really surprised to see him come back to the competitive scene.
Yeah, like you said, definitely a very old school player that's been around the block, hasn't really seen a great amount of success in terms of the overall team performances that he's been on, but maybe looking to have a resurgence here, at least still being able to hang in the top 64, and then to be that strong of a player for so long. It's without being in the top echelon of players is actually pretty impressive.
Well, just when I say that, he is not playing, at least in this match, in the first game. So, but he is on the roster.
Okay.
So, sorry about that. Got you all worked up for nothing. I'm sorry, but
it's such a tease, Dragon.
Who knows? I mean, maybe they've got some up their sleeve. We're gonna have to see. Assault Team versus Palace. It's underway, so I'm going to kick it over to you, Tasty, to get us into the draft.
All right, well, into this draft we go. Game 1 of the best of 3 elimination matchup. One of these teams is going home empty-handed when all is said and done here. The Assault Team or Team Palace, and it looks like Assault Team, they're going to go ahead and take the Lyra off the board right off the bat. And Palace, take away the Fortress, so leaving the Adagio open.
Yeah, Adagio is open here. Fortress hasn't been huge amounts of priority on him over the last few games. And look at this. It looks like Assault Team think about the Arden first, which is an interesting one for me. But each to their own. Maybe works with a specific strategy that they want to go with. But definitely leaves a lot open for Palace here.
It definitely does. And kind of surprised to not see any sort of priority on this Adagio, as that is going to be the Arden and then the Lance and now Vox. So Adagio definitely slipping through the cracks here with these two teams, and that's something that we see ever so often with the especially lower seeded challenger teams. What we expect, what we assume is the strongest from the meta, not necessarily what these teams play. You have to play into your personal strengths, and at times that means not playing the meta.
Well, at the end of the day, if you are particularly gifted with a certain hero, maybe you just want to end up playing it. That is often better than playing a meta composition that you can't play very well. So you're completely right. It's going to be Lance, Vox, and Alpha, though. So a pretty solid meta composition coming from Palace. They pick heroes that are definitely strong at this point in time. But it's going to be the Arden, Ringo, and Taka coming through for Assault Team. So something maybe they've cooked up themselves. How do you feel it works here into the Palace squad?
I feel like both teams definitely have their strengths. The Taka and Alpha matchup, I think, is going to be incredibly important towards how this game goes as a whole. So definitely going to watch the jungle pretty closely here and see who's going to be able to make these advantages appear for their teams.
Going to be loading onto the Halcyon Fold pretty shortly. Our last series of the day here at VIS. It's going to be a bit of a slugfest between these two teams. See how it turns out. What are the win conditions? I mean, if you had to think up potential win conditions for the Assault Team squad of Tasty Bacon, what would it be? Where are they looking to capitalize on? Where are they looking to win?
I mean, both teams have very similar win conditions here in try to get onto your opponent's carry and shut them down. So both Tataka and the Alpha are going to be looking to get onto the Vox and the Ringo respectively and just try and take them out of the fight. And it's all going to be about the burst and that attention onto the opposing carry.
Well, here we go. Ringo in lane, Taka in the jungle. And looks like Bound Titan hovering somewhere between, setting up this healing camp for Taka as he takes his backs. Interesting start. It's going to be Alpha and Lance wandering together. They're going to go to their backs and leave the Ringo versus Vox matchup, which, Tasty Bacon, how does this Ringo-Vox matchup go? I know a lot of people will have seen it before, a lot of people might know, but for the benefit of viewers that don't, who's really going to have the advantage here?
Early on, Ringo has the very clear advantage, has a little bit more damage, has the range edge, but as the game goes on, the amount of scaling that is on the Vox can actually overtake the Ringo. But right now, early on, 8-Bit in trouble.
8-Bit in trouble and goes down. The Lance dies early on, and now Alpha putting pressure onto this Vox. He should die too, as they actually give the kill over to Ringo. 2-0 for Assault Team here, and they're looking to capitalize with some back camps, but won't find any, as they have been cleared away pretty early on here by Kenpai and 8-Bit, but it's a good start for them. Look at this though. Alpha now making her way towards the backs, just anticipating the loss of her own to Assault Team. She's going to try and take something away from the opposition Taka.
Always really smart to, if you can anticipate that your jungle's going to get stolen out, make the rotation into your opponent's side of the map and just equalize that farm differential so that you're not going to be losing too much as a result. So 8-Bit and going to be moving up into the lane with Exuberant Witness. That was a mouthful.
Exuberant Witness. You could just call him Witness. Or Exuberant. I quite like Exuberant. Here comes Assault Team Taka. Loading as he pushes pressure onto this Vox. Backed up by Arden here. That was just a little bit of a hit and run. Nothing really gained from it. And Zinga. I'm going to call him Zinga, I guess. Just farming up on this Ringo.
Yeah, so Ringo and Vox both just going to be looking to farm up as much as they can. And we'll see if there's any differences to start to appear. There already is, because this Ringo has about a 8 CS lead over the Vox. Meanwhile, down in the jungle, I said that's going to be very important to watch. Neither of the two junglers have really gone too aggressively onto each other, mostly because Kenpai has been focusing on just keeping up with farm. Nice little damage from 8-Bit, but is actually going to eat quite a bit in return. So the trading currently by the side of Assault Team definitely going in their favor.
Zinga and Bound Titan just putting pressure here on Exuberant Witness and 8-Bit. Pretty low on energy though, can't even afford for a Twirling Silver, so having to back off just a little bit. A lot of the trading tools have been taken away from him. Look at this, Taka still just wandering through the jungle. Kenpai looking to steal something away here. Taka's going to walk over that scout trap, will get spotted out. Here comes the Githian wall, does land the Impale as well. This is a nice sequence of events here for Palace. Can they find the Prime Directive? No, they cannot, but they should, with a final core charge, pick up the kill. And it's 2-2 now, as things start to even up. Here comes Exuberant Witness putting pressure here, and he's actually taken out the Ringo himself, and now Bound Titan is the final potential kill. The Impale does not land, but the Githian wall does, and it is a delayed ace just before the jungle has intensified for Palace. They kind of swept things back in their favor from the early disadvantages that they took.
And got to be happy on the side of the Assault Team that it wasn't an ace, because that is a lot of minions that would have gotten that ace buff. Very likely would have led to a turret being taken in the early goings of this one. So nice job by Team Palace, able to turn things around. It was starting to look like Assault Team were getting some good advantages on the map, but a couple of kills, and just like that, things are very close to even once more.
Here we go, and Taka again being aggressive, but Exuberant Witness able to land a couple of basic attacks, ward him away. Looks like he's working towards that breaking point first, Tasty Bacon. Obviously, the Breaking Point double Tyrant's Monocle not considered as strong as it used to be because of the changes to the Tyrant's Monocle, but a Vox build that's aggressive has been opening up in the form of the Breaking Point, the Tornado Trigger, and the Tyrant's Monocle, so that seems to be working out for some people. Vox has got a whole multitude of builds that can kind of go in his favor. Seen a lot of sustained builds in terms of Serpent's Mask and Poison Shiv coming through from some people, but in this particular set of matchups, it's not going to be super strong. Lance goes in, doesn't really push any further than just a Impale and Githian ball though.
Yeah, so Palace again still a little bit behind in terms of the gold, but it's not a decisive lead whatsoever. You see high loading Jeremy now finishing off the Storm Crown, perhaps building towards the Aftershock. It's going to be interesting to see where that build ends up going with a little bit of weapon damage already in there as well. Oh, Exuberant Witness jumped on. Not too much damage taken.
It's a pretty slow start for these teams, actually. Small advantage still lying in the form of Assault. I think they've just got... Whoa! I've just seen the CS lead! Zynga's got like 22 CS over Exuberant Witness. I hadn't even paid attention. I was looking at the gold lead thinking, where has that come from? And then I just looked at Zynga, who's got a massive advantage over Exuberant Witness.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty steadily building up. They've also been putting Zynga down into the jungle pretty consistently and getting a little bit of extra gold there, which has been helping with that number. So it's definitely... Oh, Hellfire Brew, that's not going to get a kill. Clutch Fountain coming out from 8-Bit, but that CS lead, that could be a big difference. You know, I mentioned that it was the two junglers are going to be very important, but that was mostly because it was going to be who can then blow up the opposing laner first, and if one laner is significantly stronger than the other, then all of a sudden, and there's not as much attention being put on the junglers.
Well, item spikes are just going to be hit far more readily for Zynga here. He's nearly at that breaking point is what we assume he's working towards. Here comes the Prime Directive, does land onto Ringo. The Vanguard will save his life as well as the Fountain. That was so close for Kenpai, but no cigar. He is leveling up that core charge first, which is kind of the build path if you are sort of playing around with this skin, which obviously we know has a bug in inverted commas, and I think SEMC sort of figuring out what the fix is going to be for that. But usually you'd level Prime Directive for that massive impact damage. He is now nearly looking towards overdriving it though, Tasty Bacon, so pretty close to that particular threshold.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a power spike there. When you have the Aftershock as well, that's can really be a lot of damage coming out of the Alpha early on. And so it can make up a little bit for the fact that Exuberant Witness is falling behind this Ringo. But in terms of items, Exuberant Witness is actually not that far behind, but oh, this is a nice fight.
It comes out of rather the attacker. Wait for it, does go through and actually force Assault Team away. It was very close to being an all-out brawl. But now Assault Team looking to just work towards this first tier turret. They're going to start to push the wave pretty quickly here. Can Palace respond in kind in a correct style? Looks like they're taking the long way around just to avoid any mishaps. Lance coming through, 8-Bit working forward. Taka has engaged and committed, and it looks like 8-Bit jumping in as well. There's the Prime Directive, here's the Gauntlet, and now Zynga trying to kite away. Fountain comes through as well. It was a good defense for these guys. And Exuberant Witness and team will be able to defend this tier 1.
So, nice defense from Team Palace. Keeping things close. They are continuously falling behind in terms of the gold, just based on the farm, because it is now first of all, there's that massive CS lead in the lane, about 30 CS difference there. But even in the jungle, Loading has about a 10 CS lead. Actually, that's just grown a little bit further over Kenpai as well. So, I mean, these numbers are going to add up. Even though right now it's not leading to a huge item disparity, eventually, especially with this shop trip, Zynga's going to be able to complete the Tyrant's Monocle, whereas Exuberant Witness is still looking to finish off theirs and has a ways to go still. So definitely good news for Assault Team. They look to get some more pressure in and maybe just try and take down this turret by brute force.
Yeah, again, the Hellfire Brew just coming down, putting some damage down initially. Is that Wait For It just used there? Not really super effective, but they do land a root onto Ringo. Kenpai unable to capitalize though. Zynga having to be careful. Bound Titan just trying to regenerate up, obviously with that Iron Guard contract sitting in his inventory. Now they're going in. Looks like the stealth from Taka. They're trying to get towards the turret, but a good wave control and wave management means that they are preventing that wave from getting in range of turret, meaning that it's difficult for the assault team to capitalize and take their first turret of the game.
Well, they're still going to be looking for pressure. And just a quick rotation here would have actually been able to capitalize on it, but instead they're going to go through, clear out the jungle. And this is, again, why there's such a huge CS disparity, is all this gold getting shared by both Ringo and Taka whenever they duck into the jungle like this, not losing out on really any lane farm as a result. And they're able to just come back very strong. Oh, that's...
Oh, look at that burst damage. What an insane amount of crit coming out from Zynga. Huge pressure onto the box. And he is dead. Dunzo, ripped. No armor. Means he'll be falling pretty quickly. He's actually gone for a little bit of shielding first against the Taka, but I don't think that's your main worry at this point in time. The turret goes down. And then Kempai, the great stun onto Lance, and now the Alpha is the target for the rest of the assault team. They should be able to take her out, but actually the ultimate is going to ward them off. And she'll sit regenerating under turret. Looks like Vox didn't get the memo about Terrence Monocle, by the way, Tasty. Still looking like he's moving towards a breaking point double Terrence Monocle build. Could be gazumped at the last moment, and he could go for a tornado trigger, but have to see how effective that build, the old classic build for Vox, works out on this patch. Statistically and mathematically, not as strong as it used to be.
Not as strong as it used to be, but still a fairly strong build.
Oh, totally, yeah.
It can definitely still work out in your favor, especially if you just go, if you end up going the breaking point double monocle with a tornado trigger, like that is just a...
Oh yeah, that's really good actually. Yeah, but again,
it's a little bit excessive, but it's really...
I feel like you miss a spike by going tornado trigger earlier. I don't know, just me personally.
Yeah. Oh no, I completely agree. I think getting that extra attack speed early on is definitely important, but you know, we'll see. We'll see if it works out for Exuberant Witness, as they are, again, the gold lead is continuously growing as we move on in this game, and that's a concern for Team Palace. But they've been able to at least stay relevant in these fights. That last one, not quite so much, but if they can at least just keep the pressure off a little bit, and they can just allow this Vox to scale up, that's going to be the key.
I think that's where they need to invest their time, because obviously Vox at 2 items right now, really far behind Ringo, who's at 3. So there's a whole item advantage over to Ringo. The damage output from him is going to be insane. Wondering where he's going to go with his build. He's still on the sort of the old build of the Sora Blade, Breaking Point, and Tyrant's Monocle, so still swearing by that particular build path. Is at a point in the game where obviously, realistically, he's just so far ahead anyway that the damage output that he has is huge. To see if he decides to go for 4 weapon power items or maybe decides to invest in some defense. But I'd like to see him maybe pick up and finish with a Bonesaw or a Tornado Trigger here.
I would absolutely agree. I think going 4 offensive items is the key, especially if you're on the back lines while you have 2 melee heroes on your team, and you can generally stay pretty safe. Lots of damage. Again, look at it coming out.
Huge damage on this Ringo right now, and there goes 8-Bit back into the fray. Palace not willing to overcommit here. No one really sitting on much armor at all, except for the Alpha, who has got those Atlas Pauldrons. But 8-Bit and Exuberant Witness, pretty key targets for Zynga right now. And actually means that Lance can't commit too heavily, because he has to go to a contraption second item to look after that attacker. Here they go, though. Looks like Assault Team. Again, Hellfire Brew comes out. Alpha going in. There's the Gauntlet. She's doing a lot of damage right now. The ultimate comes through. She walks straight into the Gauntlet wall. Should be able to go down here to the Assault Team lineup. They do get the kill. It is Ringo that picked up that final blow. And now Palace trying desperately to defend this turret, but again, 8-Bit just with no armor. Very easy pickings for Zynga. Going in, Exuberant Witness has turned back up. He has got a bit more critical strike on his belt, and now Zynga has to run away. The Vanguard will allow him, and there's the kiting as well. Really good retreat there from the Assault Team line.
Able to minimize the damage, which is important. Exuberant Witness had to recall out of that fight very early on, and that ends up really causing the 1 kill that did go over to this Team Assault. As
he is going the double monocle build, by the way.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, that is confirmed. It's I haven't seen huge amounts of it on the Vox on this update, and I think mathematically it was kind of proved to be slightly worse than the Tornado Trigger build, but we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, you know, if anyone can make it work, Exuberant Witness can. I don't know why I said that, because I have no idea whether he can or not, but, you know, Just being positive person.
Well, we'll see if that level of exuberance can be shared.
Nice meme.
Appreciate it.
Assault team now, they're in complete command, it feels like. Almost 10k up in their leads. That sounded weird. The infusion for Ringo. See where he goes. Is he going to pop it? Is he going to pick up a more critical strike? Yes, he is. Could be a double monocle for him as well. But again, he's at the point in the game where that's perfectly acceptable. If you're this far ahead, doesn't really matter what you build because you're just blowing people up either way. And obviously, iLoading picked up the Atlas Pauldrons here, Tasty Bacon, so you can apply those to Vox pretty readily.
And I like the vision that both teams are trying to put down as well in this one. The lane scout traps, I'm always a big fan of seeing lane scout traps. But Kraken is going to be started here. Team Palace rotating to answer. Can they get in there in time?
Kampai comes through. Here comes the ultimate damage coming. Great gauntlet onto him. He's going to go down out of that passive. Doesn't even get to proc his ultimate. And now they're going to change onto 8-bit. It looks like Zynga himself going through onto this Vox. The critical strikes are huge. The Achilles shot takes him down in the slow. And now they just have that lance to finish up. It's a real tough situation. Tries to juke around the crystals, but he's not really going to get much done here as Zynga isolates him, kills him off. And it's another ace right now for Assault Team. Dominant in this first game. Going to get some serious work done with this Kraken as well, Tasty Bacon.
Another ace, and with this Kraken push again, as you mentioned, Scoundrel, this is going to be massive amounts of work. Unfortunately, those minions all got caught up in the turret explosion, so they all get dropped to 1 hit point, but they're still, that's 2 turrets down so quickly. Kenpai in that last game, you called it the gauntlet came down and actually stunned him right as he was most likely looking to pop that ultimate, didn't get it off, and they are just tearing through these objectives.
Yeah, Zynga's just so far ahead. That CS lead he built up in the early game, he is really utilized. Takes down that turret. They're going for the Vein Crystal. Assault Team looking to take their first win in this series, ignoring pretty much the rest of the team as Kraken does the work. Taka will find the killing blow, and Kraken, she strikes that blow onto the Vein Crystal. Assault Team take the first of the series. Tasty Bacon, can Palace come back here? That was a pretty commanding win from them, especially from the early game. Ringo really got far ahead and really capitalized on it too.
Yeah, that Ringo build working wonders. Actually went for a double monocle on the Ringo as well.
Yeah, I still think that build's fine. You lose a little bit of critical strike compared to where you used to be, but you do get that extra bit of weapon power, which can sometimes work maybe in favor. I just think the extra critical strike actually stacks breaking point quicker, but maybe people just, personal preference. Maybe they just found more success with it on an individual basis. Maybe, Vox still sort of finding success with the breaking point double, the breaking point double tyrant's monocle build. I know Dragonborn is also a big fan of analyzing builds and things, so I'll have to wonder what his opinions are on these two particular builds that we saw on the weapon power carries.
Yeah, I mean, I think 30 CS really helps you win a game when you have an advantage of 30 CS.
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, more gold, more items. Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is you see the Double Tyrant's monocle from last patch. It's hard for teams to, especially in the lower end, when you're kind of actually learning from the teams above you more regularly, it's hard to innovate, right? You're typically in the lower seed teams, you're not doing as much innovating, you're really doing much emulating and trying to master the mechanical side. So, to see teams still sticking to this, even with the 2.3 update, it just means they haven't really, shedded that, that learning that they've already done. And also, it still seems to, obviously, in their games and their matches, it still seems to work for them. But yeah, absolutely. The fact that, with the slight, like we kind of pointed to the fact that all attack speed's kind of nerfed and there's some nerf to the Tyrant's monocle, there's definitely a reshuffling of how these items go together. We still see Sorrow Blades first, typically, or we'll see certain items really early, but then the question is, what do you build second? What do you build third? It becomes a lot more situational, even right now. I mean, and some things that look really good on paper, they don't always transcribe or perfectly into the real game, into the fold, because for whatever reason it just doesn't work with some people. They don't feel good. Like a lot of people talk about stutter stepping, right? It was a huge thing where it really challenged a lot of players to relearn stutter stepping. It took them a long time. Not that stutter stepping was broken, but that it was something different that just didn't feel natural to them.
Yeah, no, I think there's been some changes. A lot of people adapted quickly. A lot of people didn't adapt as quickly. I'm still convinced that there are better builds in Alpha Vox than the double Tyrant's Monocle and Breaking Point. I think adding a Tornado Trigger instead of one of the Tyrant's Monocle actually does a little bit more DPS. But I look, you know, you can criticize who you like, but it's up to the player to make that decision. Up to the player to find out what works best for them. You know, maybe they'll look at the maths and think about changing, but in this particular case, didn't work out for him. You know, and obviously Ringo was so far ahead, to be honest, that he could build whatever he liked. He could have built Crystal Power, to be honest, and probably ended up winning this game. So it's it was a really good early lead from Assault Team, and they I think capitalized on it really well.
Well, we're gonna find out how Team Palace responds, as we're actually already into the draft. So we're gonna jump right into it without taking much time to relax here, as we're already moving through quickly, and it looks like already Adagio and Lyra ban.
Adagio and Lyra ban quickly. Looks like it's going to be the Fortress locked in early here for Palace, something that we expected. It's going to be another Arden. Maybe going to see a Vox from Assault Team this time around. Looks to be the key, and they're now going to lock it in. Tasty Bacon looking for a set of picks now for Palace. What do you think works nicely with the Fortress?
Well, they're going to grab the Black Feather for one, and see if they decide to make this a Captain Fortress. The Koshka could definitely work and put the Black Feather in the lane to be a very aggressive team, and that's exactly what they're going to go for.
Here we go. Black Feather Koshka, super aggressive. Go hard or go home, Palace say. With Arden, you've got a good bit of defense, you've got a lot of kiting coming through, and now Assault Team have to make their final pick into this composition. It looks like it could be the choice between a CP Kestrel or a CP Alpha. Alpha could kind of make sense. Not much peeling with the Alpha, but definitely a lot of damage. You can pop that ultimate, you can kind of force those melee carries away from you. But the movement speed of Black Feather, and well, rather just the mobility of Black Feather and the movement speed of Koshka, might find it difficult for Alpha to get work done here.
It definitely can be. You know, if you can hit the prime directives, then you can stick to target really well, but that's easier said than done with the amount of mobility on the side of Team Palace. We'll see if they can turn this one around. Again, 54 seed versus 22 seed, definitely the underdogs here, but they had moments in the first game, but if the lane ends up going similarly, if Zynga is able to get a huge CS lead like they were in game number 1, and that may be all she wrote.
Palace have kind of got one game plan here, it feels, Tasty Bacon. Blow up Vox, win game. How effective is this going to be against the Arden and the Alpha as well, though? That's the question, isn't it?
That absolutely is. You know, if you can burst down one target, make it a 2 versus 3, then perhaps you could end up with obviously the numbers advantage. If you're still healthy enough, you can then turn it and win the fight very easily. But if they can't get onto the Vox, if they can't take him out early, it could be troublesome.
There we go. Palace looking to be aggressive. They definitely have the composition for it, and actually it's going to be Assault Team backing off from their healing camps again. Bound Titan trying to do two things at once. And she's going to walk back in here. It's a full-on engage, and now Bound Titan trying to use vision to keep himself safe. Alpha will start to back off. It's going to be a complete sweep of these early back camps right now, but again, Assault Team did good just to back off and not get picked off by it. Vox heading to the back camps himself. Palace actually looking to move there and pick up the kill, or at least fortresses. So maybe catching Vox out of position here. He will maybe only get the doubles and then have to port back. But that's good enough. It's a good swap, good trade, and Zynga will take the port right now.
Alright, so with that early game sort of skirmish happening, but not really going to be committed to, means everyone gets out safely. First minute and a half going pretty safe for both sides. But already you can see 8-bit Kenpai starting to move together. I want to see them try and make some plays with this Koshka. That's going to be key, is just using the early game strength that they have and taking advantage of it. If you don't go aggressive with Koshka, then you run the risk of falling off very, very early.
Absolutely. Assault Team. Aggressive moves here. Need to be careful. Koshka maybe was looking for a flank. Now they might just be coming in the forward route. Here comes 8-bit, jumps in, puts pressure, but there's the Vanguard, and the Sonic Zoom gets him well out of harm's way. Kind of a recurring theme I see happening here. Again, like you said, needs to be aggressive with this Koshka early on, needs to be able to put pressure onto this Vox. Don't want to get to the late game where Vox is going to be able to kite frequently and easily. And don't want to get Vox to the point in the game where he's got a lot of damage output as well. So it's kind of the time is ticking, you would feel, for Assault Team. Actually going to try and catch out Alpha here. Alpha trying to dodge and dip and duck and dive. Does have the ultimate and, sorry, rather the passive to keep herself alive and healthy. Zinga a little bit over aggressive, has to jump away with those boots. So a lot of good cooldowns burnt here. 2 boots for Palace just for some good aggressive movement.
Yeah, and if you're able to make those kinds of aggressive plays, put your opponents on the back heels, oftentimes that can end up leading to just more and more opportunities. But again, early on, just keep your eyes on the CS numbers. A small lead for Zynga right now, but that's, actually, just kidding, down to the jungle. Got first blood coming through. Nice play from Palace.
Yeah, super aggressive, punishing the early weak jungle that an alpha has, and actually that's one of the tactics that you can do against an alpha. You know, you can put pressure on her early because her jungle clear is pretty slow. She's pretty weak in the jungle, and you know who's good in the jungle early? Definitely a Koshka and Fortress combo. So, like this from Palace, they're pushing their advantages where they count. And you could see there, Bound Titan was looking to go on Vanguard, but unfortunately, couldn't get there in time, and realistically was realizing that he wasn't really going to do much to save the day. Now trying to babysit the Alpha as much as possible because they need to give her time and space now. She's definitely had a lot of pressure on her early, losing her backs, taking a kill against her as well. Assault Team needs to sort of steady the ship.
Well, as of right now, 4 minutes in, it is going to be Assault Team playing on the back foot. Not a huge gold deficit, only a couple hundred or so. But as the jungle intensifies, the gold miner spawns, and they have the opportunities now to maybe make some more defensive moves, and you don't have to worry too much about your jungle getting invaded anymore. So you can, if you do try and if someone does try and invade you, you have the opportunity to then answer much better than you did previously. And I think that's going to be key for this alpha, because again, Koshka, you expect to win this early game. You expect Koshka to be able to take over the jungle, but once the Crystal Sentry's involved...
Different story indeed, and Zynga now trying to come down and provide support to his team. It looks like he's going for the build that we have seen start to open up on a lot of weapon power carries, by the way. It looks like it might be the Serpent's Mask Poison Shiv build for the Vox, which is kind of like a replacement to the Breaking Point Double Tyrant's moniker. Instead of stacking up and dealing a huge amount of damage, it's stacking up and getting huge amounts of sustain. So it's a build that we've seen open up for Vox against heavy melee carries, and I'm interested to see how this does against Koshka and Blackfeather against all that burst. Might be difficult to get the sustain that you need, or could be the exact amount of sustain needed to survive. It's a fine line to walk here, but this is something that definitely I've seen more Voxes build on this update over that classic build of the Double Tyrant's monocle that we saw in update 2.2. Looks like actually Alpha going in. It's going to be a big prime directive. Exuberant Witness now taking damage. He's having to back away. The on-point shield will keep him alive. And 8-Bit now running like a dog with his tail between his legs back towards his team. Actually, the Assault Team got the better of that engage.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an edge. They've got both 8-Bit and Exuberant Witness low here, but they're not going to keep the pressure on. Instead, opting to rotate down. And we'll see what they do. Invading the jungle is their option, as there is the Aftershock now completed for loading. So that's going to be, again, that nice power spike for the Alpha. Hitting those item spikes is always so important, and looking for opportunities around those spikes.
So the Serpent's Mask is first here for Vox. Might look weird for people who haven't really seen Vox in competitive since 2.2, but this gives him a little bit of sustain. Might then go for the breaking point. Be interesting to see whether he adds the Poison Shiv to the mix, because we have seen that quite a lot. But generally that team tends to come out against healing compositions, so we might not see the Poison Shiv as the third item. We could see something like a Tornado Trigger or a Tyrant's Monarch or even a Sorrow Blade. So I think just keep an eye on where Zynga's going to run with this build. Definitely looks like the breaking point will be his second item, however. He's going to pick up some armor too. Slightly worried about the Blackfeather's potential to take him out here.
So, with that potential to take them out, they're going to jump onto Exuberant Witness. Lots of damage.
Lots of damage coming out here. Fountain actually used very potentially unnecessarily by 8-Bit. He is scared, as looks like eye loading on this Alpha, looking to put pressure on Exuberant Witness has got a lot of sustain now with the Eve of Harvest, the weapon power equivalent of Serpent's Mask. And actually, with the Fountain down, I think Palace are probably just going to play this one defensively, just try and clear waves under turret. Here comes the ultimate from Fortress. Actually, they're going aggressive here. Is this the correct decision? Bound Titan isn't lit level 6. Don't think they're going to get too much work done. It was very much a sort of a warding ultimate, saying, get away from me. Don't want this to happen. Gauntlet is available now, though. Looks like they could potentially go for it here. Arden jumps in. Hasn't used the Gauntlet just yet. Here comes Vox and here comes Alpha. Long, extended fight. Neither team willing to fully commit at this point in time. Bound Titan may be trying to bait people in here. Does have his Fountain available, but in a short amount of time, the Fountain will be back up for 8-bit. So I think Assault Team have to play this carefully, because if they get baited into another Fountain, it could be quite disastrous for them. Just sort of very, very close here. Actually going to jump in. 8-bit runs through. Here comes the ultimate very early from Alpha. There's the ultimate from Koshka. It's a big ultimate, though. It lands onto Exuberant Witness, but it is going to be a kill going over for Assault Team. No one quite able to finish off. There's the core charge. Good amount of damage. It is now eye loading versus the world. Prime Directive doesn't land as the Kitty bounds away out of dangers. And that was a long sequence of events there, Tasty Bacon. What exactly happened?
A long fight to have a 1-for-1 trade. A really nice re-engage from Palace, though, in order to get that first kill. But now, underneath this turret, this is dangerous.
Underneath his turret dangerous. They are going for the turret. Now, Bound Titan taking a lot of damage here. Eye loading. Big Prime Directive. He can get a kill. Can he get another? It is going to be Fortress running away. And Vox, or rather, Blackfeather turning up to save the day means that eye loading will just back off. We'll send that base recall. And now Vox moves up to defend this tier 1. Assault Team taking the advantage in the early game despite the kill disadvantage.
Oof, what a sequence of events that turned out to be. It looked like it was just going to be another kind of short engagement with both teams backing off and not much happening. But at the end of the day, we get multiple kills and a turret going down. You have to figure advantage going over to Assault Team just because they were able to take that turret. They didn't win out on the kills, but getting the turret is a big trading point, as they're now going to be able to have more pressure on the map and can push their opponents back deeper and try and move that line of scrimmage up. Oh, this could be big.
Could be big. A lot of attack speed for Zynga. He's working towards what could be a tornado trigger. It could be a poison shiv. Plenty of options for him now. Definitely not going towards a turret's monocle, though. Good to see. Thank you, buddy. And Assault Team are in a really strong position in both item spikes and in dueling potential. Ingoing Alpha, actually in the back line. Now they're trying to jump into Zynga. Doesn't block the ultimate. He's taken very low. Here comes the Fountain, but it's not enough. A very late Gauntlet comes down, and now it's up to Alpha to save the day. But the ultimate wasn't procced, and she's going to get taken down. Palace somehow find the teamfight win. A whole host of misplays, you feel, for Assault Team. And now look at Bound Titan desperately trying to clear the way, but another one quickly bounding on. This could be Arden paying with his life, but nope. It's going to be Palace just backing off. Don't want to take that risk.
They definitely are going to be finding themselves some edge here, as Palace now taking the gold mine as well. This is going to be a big gold swing. They were starting to fall behind, and now all of a sudden, thanks to a kill, a turret, and a gold miner, they've got the lead right back. These two teams are absolutely bringing it here, facing elimination for the side of Palace. They really need to step up, and they have done so in game number 2, at least through the first 11 minutes. See if they can keep it up.
We need both a Crucible and that Reflex block to be used by Zynga. So Zynga needs to use that Reflex block, and we need to see a Crucible ASAP for Titan, because Koshka Ultimate is ruining Zynga's day right now. Every single time getting hit by it. And you can see that Alpha, when she goes in, the Fortress Ultimate comes down, and they outright ignore her. They say, okay, screw the Alpha. We're just going to run at the Vox, and really, realistically, Alpha, you've already used your Prime Directive. You can't catch back up. So, I mean, this is exactly what I expected when you saw the Alpha pick here. It doesn't really offer much appeal for the Vox. It's all up to Arden at this point in time, and his Gauntlets have been a little bit late, not really been utilizing them to protect Vox, kind of using them after Vox is dead, and basically I think he's trying to trap people in there with Alpha rather than try and play towards trying to save you carry.
Alright, so trying to save the carry is
saving Private Zynga.
Well, they may not be able to. if he's not going to have anyone there to save him. But nice fight turnaround.
Nice fight turnaround. Actually, a big ultimate coming out from Alpha. Can't be taken down by Fortress himself, but actually they still managed to take out Vox in the backline. Out Alpha again versus the world, but the damage is too much from Palace. Another scrappy team fight from Assault Team, not protecting that Vox, and Alpha just kind of left alone to her own devices, not having the impact that she needs.
So,
need to see some shielding.
You said it's saving Private Zynga, but if you blow up the Alpha on the front lines first, then that's one less target that can try and save Zynga. Even though Alpha doesn't really have anything to save him with other than taking out your opponents, but it's so difficult right now for the side of Assault Team to be able to get anything going. Zynga's still trying to farm up, going for the breaking point into a Serpent's Mask. Definitely a little bit more of the unconventional build path.
Well, it's actually becoming more conventional on this update because of the changes to the old traditional Vox build.
But the more conventional path I've seen has been Sorrowblade into the Serpent's Mask.
Really, I've seen a lot of Sorrowblade, Breaking Point, Poison Shiv. Maybe we've just seen different games. It's kind of designed to play sustain kite. You're just trying. But the problem is against burst, I don't think it's as effective. Like, you can't really sustain versus burst. If you're just dying on the first couple of hits, you're not actually going to get much value out of the Serpent's Mask or Poison Shiv. And again, it's up to Bound Titan to provide Zynga with the sort of defense that he needs to be able to start that kiting process.
Right. Well, we'll see if he can survive long enough. That's the goal of Zynga, is just to survive through these fights. But the damage coming out of Ken Pai on this Koshka has been really impressive, and Exuberant Witness, of course, has consistently been able to dive onto that back line. Again, this is such an aggressive composition from Palace, and they're looking to go in again.
Looking to go in again, they're going aggressive. There's the early gauntlet, though. It does provide some defense here for Assault Team. Actually, Vox should be able to back out. Here is a good position for him to be in. Actually kites backwards now. Here comes the ultimate. The silence lands, and this is where Vox wants to be. This is exactly the situation that he needs. The first kill goes over to Alpha. This looks like cleanup town for Assault Team as the big prime directive lands, and now this lonely wolf lost in the jungle. Vox should be able to find that final kill with the sentry. What a fight. Exactly how they wanted to play it, Tasty Bacon.
It took 14 minutes or so, but they finally get a fight to go exactly the way they want. Absolutely picture-perfect engagement for Assault Team. 3 for 0. They're going to get a lot of work done off of this as well. The turret is going to fall, and Zynga is actually going to be able to take away a little bit in the jungle as well. So, just like that, that is how quickly games can turn. This was looking like it was going to be Palace starting to really pull ahead, but one team fight is all you need to really get yourself back in the game.
Assault Team. Looks like it is the Poison Shiv. There you go. It is that build that I've seen Voxes go a lot. Provides huge amounts of sustain. And it's kind of been a lot of go-to builds against melee threats to Vox. On this particular update, just, kite sustain, kite sustain, kite sustain. Keep yourself in a completely healthy state. Vision is lacking right now, and I think looks like Palace are trying to exploit that. The weapon infusion does come down. There is the flare. They will see that as Palace were looking to set things up. But Assault Team know how they need to play these fights now, Tasty Bacon. It looks like they're on the upper side of things.
And if they can have another fight go that way that their previous one did, it will be... I mean, that could just be so demoralizing for Palace to have won multiple fights in a row and then just all of a sudden have it completely blow up in your face. But oh, this could be bad. They're going to face check this bush.
Face check this book, and again, it is going to be the Vox that is the target, but he starts to run, and he's running very far. There's the Gauntlet. Great Gauntlet across the wall. What a combo into the silence as well. Alpha didn't proc her ultimate again, though. Major issue. There is the ultimate from the Koshka, and it should be Vox going down. No, it's not. Vox is still alive. Vox is still bloody alive, and it's 2 kills for the Alpha, and it is again a cleanup, a triple kill. Oh, I'm going to say it again. Oh, baby. A triple for the Alpha, and it is going to be the Kraken going down. That is the power of sustain for Zynga. How is he still alive?
How is he still alive? By having an absurd amount of lifesteal. When you have both of these items at 20% lifesteal, plus, of course, the Serpent's Mask passive of the 25% lifesteal for 1200 damage, Like, that is just a ridiculous amount of sustain, just narrowly being enough to keep Zynga alive throughout the entire duration of that. And with Kraken pushing down now, members of Palace have got to be getting worried, feeling their chances of moving on in this Challenger tournament slipping away.
Here we go. Assault team moving forwards. Looks like the guys from Assault team have found their way to deal with this super aggressive competition. Alpha going mega aggressive. The stacks have landed. That's a big prime directive, but they're going to turn on to Zynga straight away. There is the silence, though. He starts to run. The ultimate from Koshka doesn't get blocked this time round, but the sustain is doing so much work as Alpha cleans up the rest of the fight. Vox may have gone down, but Alpha is the big dog in town now. And 8-Bit goes down too. Not quite a triple this time round, but oh my word, that should be the game with the Kraken for Palace right now, Tasty Bacon. And they are going to clinch this series 2-0 over their opposition, our Assault team.
It was a great fight from Palace, but unfortunately for them, Assault team is going to be able to take the victory 2-0 as Kraken takes down that final turret. Still 2 members working on this crystal. Respawn's coming through, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
It's definitely not going to be enough. Kraken will do the work if the team cannot, and it is a 2-0 victory for Assault team right here. They clean things up. Yeah, finally got her ultimate off. Man, good series by these guys. Quick, and it means I can go to bed. Oh man, been a pleasure though. It's been some great games, and Dragonborn, that was a quick one to end the day.
I just got word that we're actually going to jump to a game 3 of another series. No, I'm kidding, guys.
Memes.
No, that was it was actually really kind of exciting. I think that Assault team played a really great first game, and then this game, it looked like just the early aggression from that Koshka Fortress was a lot to handle for them. I'll be honest, I'm not particularly a fan of NGA's build per se. I mean, the challenge is that, you know, with enough armor, he's not going to be able to build those breaking point stacks up very fast because he's not dealing as much damage. But don't get me wrong, you're right. The sustain that he has, it is a lot. But the challenge is that when you do all the math, when you look at it, he's got to get over the first ledge of that breaking point stack requirement, which is 140 damage. And once he deals that much damage, then he starts to break breaking point stacks up for every 5 damage that he does. So what I kind of noticed is, you know, if he could stay in the fight long enough, he was really starting to chug, get that sustain in that fight. But if he was caught out early, he wasn't able to get those breaking point stacks up fast enough and ended up dropping pretty quick.
Yeah,
that's how it was early on, but once he got both of those lifesteal items up, it didn't matter. Even if he got jumped on early, he was able to survive just long enough to put out some extra damage, even if he didn't get a ton of stacks on the break.
Well, part of that was because Arden, the Bound Titan, was doing a good job keeping him alive. Because the challenge is that if you're not dealing damage, you're not getting lifesteal either.
It bought enough time for Alpha to do the work, and I think that's what you kind of saw as the game progressed. It wasn't really about Vox. They thought it was about Vox. Palace thought it was about Vox, but Assault team knew it was about Alpha. Like, Aftershock, Broken Myth, another piercing shard on top. She was doing a lot of damage and managing her core overload stacks really well.
No, they played a really good game. Little struggle there. I think the only reason that was close, Alpha's struggling really to just time and chain the combos of all her abilities together in these fights to properly deal the maximum amount of damage. But ultimately, Assault team going up and maybe getting close, but getting to 2-0, and now they are moving on to the loser bracket, continuing their path. It is going to be Team Palace that is going to drop down out of this tournament completely. But good luck to them in future endeavors. And of course, you know, they played pretty well. They played admirably.
They did indeed. And thanks for having me on VIS, by the way. I'm falling asleep in my chair despite about 60 cans of Red Bull, so I'm gonna get my.
Well, guys, it's been an awesome night. It's been really exciting. Take a look quickly at the bracket here. This is the winner's bracket. This is how things kind of have shaped up here today. Of course, we will be starting next week with the second half of this Group B, on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. And we've got some exciting ones coming up, guys. We've got Team Noble Pro versus Synergy VG. We have Necrolite versus a 14 seed. I guess it's Friends Not Tilt or No Tilt. Oh yeah, 3 Friends No Tilt. And then Giraffes versus Team Triumphs going to be going on. So all 4 of those matches look really exciting. We'll hopefully be able to bring as many of those as possible next week. And of course, we'll be starting Group A as well. as Group A and B will both continue next week here as we try to finish off these group stages of the tournament and get ready for week 3 of the playoffs. It's going to be exciting. Scoundrel, thanks so much. Tasty, as always, it's great to see you guys. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Make sure you guys come in next week, 5 p.m., starting on Tuesday, as we got more VIS coming your way. We'll see you then.